Hello everyone. Now we'll start with the Vice President debate. She'll come and give a small introduction, then we'll follow the question session. Thank you.
A very good evening to everyone attending this live SoapBox session. I would like to thank the Dean Student Welfare and the Student Council for considering me an eligible candidate and allowing me to take up this responsibility. I would also like to thank Team TaskForce for providing a platform to express their ideas in this session. During this time of crisis, it is of high priority for a representative for building and developing an environment for the students that focuses on their productivity, health, and also their well-being. Over the past years in NITT, I have observed the various problems that plague us and the campus, and the problems that concern every girl student in campus. We often observe students being hesitant to voice out their problems just because they're unaware of the power that they hold. I believe that I will be able to listen to every individual and ensure that his or her problem is taken up and a solution is brought about. The entire process and research that went behind preparing for the post has been a great learning experience for me. Thus, as a part of Student Council, I promise to put forth my best efforts to make sure that we work as a team. Each and every issue is given the time it deserves and leave no stone unturned in making the process of grievance redressal as student friendly as possible. Approachability and transparency will be the pillars of my working methodology. Addressing problems that each of us personally face will be my primary concern because they're often not looked into. I look forward to continuous support from the student community because I am another student like you, and I can perform my best only with your constant support. I believe that more than ever, this is the time that the student community's issues should be heard and most importantly, resolved. I wholeheartedly thank the Student Council for providing me a chance to put forth my ideas before you. Now I present you some of the highlights that from the ideas that I wish to implement in the coming academic year. A lot of us miss out on a lot of research opportunities within our campus itself, and most of us seek them personally by contacting our professors. With an intra-NITT portal for faculty and students to share their research interests, students not only have all the opportunities inside the campus at one stop, but can also work under interested research work that they are interested in from other departments too. Spotlight on undergrad research from TransferNet can be done by providing assistance to each of those projects through funding, and also create implementable solutions which can be deployed for people to use inside the campus. We learn a lot of valuable professional and teamwork experiences from the clubs that we are part of. To put them into use for placements and hires interviews, club responsibility recognition certificates would definitely add credibility to each of our works. Providing access to education through scholarships is increasingly important because it assists us in reaching to our fullest potential without any block of economical problems. Making sure first years don't miss out on this deserving centrally and state recognized scholarships. The scholarship page on the institute portal has to be constantly updated, and preferably push notification has to be sent to webmail on new scholarships that are available to the students. Coming to harassment cases within the students, most often don't come to light simply because of the whole hassle around it. A structured student committee to prevent sexual harassment cases would serve in increasing the approachability and also the accountability of each of these cases that goes on in campus. There are no strict guidelines on the most effective way of facilitating emotional well-being in students. But whereas we all know that a support from a peer can be useful throughout one's undergraduate study. The peer can be a senior or a junior or even your batchmate. I aim to achieve this through the Students for Students Mental Health Safe Space program. Lastly, shifting to virtual platforms to conduct classes online has been a challenge not just to students, but it has also been a challenge to the faculty. Quality assurance of online classes has to be of the utmost priority in the next semester, so as to know the feedback of both the students and faculty periodically on how the classes were conducted. By that, I come to the end of the highlights. This is not a mere manifesto. These are your ideas that I've added for all our betterment. All I've done is compile all of your concerns that you have raised and suggestions that you have given me in the past. I assure you that I will be unbiased and work towards making NIDT better for all of us. I would like to wish good luck to all the other candidates who are contesting. This will be together for us. Thank you.
So, hi Maha.
Hi.
So congratulations on becoming the vice president of Students Council. Now you are officially the vice president. So, like we don't have much of points also because the points which you mentioned are clear and are self-explicit. What you mentioned in the manifesto, and this will be more of a conversation type of thing rather than a questionnaire session. Just
Hi.
like telling you what you might have missed on and what you can add on to what is being proposed by you right now.
Right.
So starting with the first thing, like in the academics, you've mentioned that there would be a branch change for year two based on the GPA. So what do you think right now the problems, like if you have to do a branch change now, what all could be the hurdles to do that from academic side?
A lot of the issues come with a lot of third sem courses require prerequisites that we have studied from the second sem. So, since for the new batch an academic curriculum change is proposed, I think this would be the right time to actually propose this. Or, worst case, we could actually put it forward even after SEM 1, department change after SEM 1, because a lot of students do come into prestigious colleges like NITs and IITs without getting the branch of their choice. So it will be a big win among the students, and this can be proposed because we can cite a lot of examples from other IITs and NITs who have already implemented this.
Okay, if you, I don't know if you have gone through the first year's curriculum, which is right now.
Right
The
now.
problem is they haven't made much differences in the subjects offered or what. They have just made basic differences in clubbing one or two courses together, reducing the number of credits so that they can go for online internships. Not much emphasis was given on changing the course content also. So it will be a, whereas if you take NIT Warangal also, for them the whole first year is same. Like you can even sit in whichever class you want. All teach the
All
same
right,
course,
yeah.
same content, everything. So there they have this process of branch change in 2 years. So I think you can propose a new curriculum for the incoming batch, and that can be implemented there. It's
Right.
good. And yeah, next one. I didn't get this point of undergrad research from Transfinite.
So Transfinite is a hackathon which happens every year. A lot of people are not aware of the projects and the proposals that come in the hackathon, and a lot of them are discarded. But the main idea is for the development of the campus. So if we could have a system where we can fund those projects, even if it's not the winning projects, it would definitely, if it comes out as a product, it will be for institute development. And a lot of, I think Technical Council is also working on funding a lot of these projects from the next hackathon onwards.
Yeah, so some something like this is already in process. Uh,
Right. Right.
Fatima, you have mentioned that you want to come up with a student committee for sexual harassment. So, just to give you an idea, it took 3 years to include just the student council members into the ICC.
Right.
How do you plan on, what is your plan of action for getting us building up a student committee and convincing the admin for making a student committee like that, an official student committee like that?
Right. So I think when we define the aim of the committee, I think we should mention clearly that it is for the approachability of the students. Basically, if anything happens to you and me or my friends, we think twice or thrice before even taking it up to the faculty or admin. So a lot of these cases, if they're not serious or recurring, they will not even come out to the public. I mean, not it's not accounted. So I think we should just make sure that only recurring case we account for all the cases that happen in campus, and all the recurring cases will be taken forward to ICC so they can take measures. We wouldn't be in any power to take measures, but we can still at the end of the semester, at the end of the year, we could tell them these many cases have happened, and this is why you need to take a very strict action on these issues.
And in the same domain, following up on the student activity zone proposal, can you just tell what is the present status of it, the SAT extension proposal?
So I'm aware that student council has proposed a student activity zone, wherein girls can work beyond curfew. But the issue was entry and exit of all these students will not be in a very organized manner, or there was difficulty in setting up biometric scanners. I think with RFID cards coming into the play and RFID scanners, definitely it will come in the campus. We can set it up for all of these student activity zones. Mainly, these are four that we have after curfew that people still work, club activities still go on, namely CCD, SCIEND, Octagon, SAC. So all of these places, if we have entry and exit accounted, then we can definitely propose the plan, because obviously this is a new RFID cards hasn't been proposed before. And
Uh,
also, yeah,
go ahead. Finish it.
and also dividing the academic zone and the residential zone should be of high priority if at all this comes into play, because Um, and also, because of the lockdown, I am aware that security maneuvering has been made strong, and campus has been divided into zones. So, if we could take some learning from here, and at every academic zone exit, if we could strengthen the security, this would be a sequential way to look at this curfew relaxation and get the student activity
Do you
zone
think
proposal
something
done.
like this has started, or do you think something, a plan like this is already in progress? Have you inquired about it?
Yes, when I had inquired earlier, I'm not sure about the status right now, but last sem it wasn't coming into picture. Even after the Opal wardens agreeing to it, the deans couldn't, because of the difficulty in the technical installation of biometric scanners, is what I have learned.
So, okay, student council, in this regard, actually what happened was we and actually Pragya gave a presentation to everyone on a common platform with we had director, dean, students welfare, HAC, everyone who is basically involved in this regard, and we gave them a presentation on what our plan is, which is similar to what you're proposing now.
Right.
And based on that, cameras purchase, like CCTV purchases has been done. Other things are still have to be followed up, which you can do. And also the gates which you are mentioning, which is right now installed separating the hostel zones, were actually for that's what they are actually doing it for. It's not for curfew.
Right.
Actually, they are being installed for like keeping cows out of the hostel zones. That's the
All
main
right.
issue. Okay.
Uh, Fatima,
Next
you have
one.
mentioned Fatima, you mentioned about club certificate. Do you know that something like that is already being provided to students?
I'm aware that Pragyan core members do get certificates,
No,
if I'm not wrong.
I'm talking about club certificate. So,
I'm not sure because a lot of
yeah,
clubs
so
do not issue club certificates that I am
no, the
aware.
clubs do not issue, but if a student requires a certificate saying that he or she was a part of a club, they just need to present a proof that they were a part of the club to the dean, associate dean SW, and they will issue a certificate immediately. So
Right,
probably
all
you should
right.
have done a little research before putting up this point. Okay, another
And
thing. Yeah, go ahead, Snehal.
yeah, regarding this, students for students mental health safe space, uh, like the main problem there is privacy, because if you open up to someone, you should believe in them that they'll definitely keep your things
Brilliant.
intact. And when Pragya was actually working on your dost, that was one thing which we debated a lot, that if the privacy will be there or will there be any breach. If they get to know their all secrets, then it will be a very big problem for the students. So how we are going to ensure that there'll be no problem with the privacy of what they share?
I do understand that we have in-house counselor, we have your dost. So if anyone does need a counselor, there's a lot of plenty options. But this idea would be to create a positive mental health awareness to every student in campus. So this would be mostly a social media platform, or we could have some events conducted every semester wherein we tell people or students on how to approach your friend who's going through something. It would be more like an awareness session wherein students itself take some initiatives to make other students aware.
Okay. Pragya.
One second. Mm. So, Fatima, there's no mention of curfew extension or removal. You mentioned, working zones for students, but there's no mention of curfew extension or removal. So previous few councils have taken this as one of the main agendas, and only then they were able to achieve what little they have achieved in this area. So if this idea does not exist at all in the minds of the coming council, it will, bring a pause, or rather degrade the driving force that has been building for the past few years. And I mean, if this council is not taking it forward, the issue of curfew extension or removal that strongly, I'm pretty sure that the next council that will be coming up will find it very difficult to bring up this issue and take it forward. So, may we know that why have you not thought on it?
The fact that I haven't put exclusively curfew removal or curfew extension is because, first of all, I didn't want to promise anything that was not achieved in the 10 years of hard work of student council, wherein a more practical approach should be continuing something that's already been happening. And obviously, the motive in the end would be curfew relaxation and curfew removal. That is the whole motive of putting up something like that, but didn't want to exclusively put it out.
You need not promise something when you're doing a campaign, but you can talk about it and make sure that the students know that you will be working for it, because in your entire
Right,
campaign that has also not come up. So because if
right,
this drops here, then it will take another 2 years to bring it back to the same pace, and then we're not progressing. So yeah.
right.
Nate,
Next one,
anything else from
Maha,
your side?
yeah. Maha, can you elaborate on dynamic student and family health status check? What is it exactly?
So, as we know, during the pandemic, more than how much concentration we have to put into education of every student, we should be aware that a lot of students do test positive for the virus, and also their families also go through a lot of are at risks. So, it is, I think we should be able to know every faculty and the student community should be able to know how many of us are actually safe and well to be in a very in a good learning environment. So this can be done even simply with Google Forms. Periodically, you could send it out, but that would become a lot of hassle. We could also use students.nit.edu if we could have a tab where we can say, yes, right now I am safe. Or it could be something very simple as to where people can easily reach out and say, yes, I am safe during this pandemic.
Yeah, that's good that you're collecting information. Like, what will you do after the information is collected? How will it be used, or what it will be
Also, there's
used
a lot
for?
of loophole into this. I mean, people can just simply say, I'm not in the correct state, and then miss the examination or evaluation. So,
Um,
what is
I,
your plan? Yeah,
I
go
don't
ahead.
think before we ask or put it out, we would be promising anything with this data, but we can definitely use this to tell faculty that these are the exact numbers of what has been happening to the students.
And
And
yeah, go ahead, continue.
so to the student side, we would just be putting it out as just reaching out for each other.
Okay. Also, you have mentioned that feedback of the online classes and online evaluations will be taken, and we will use that to, ensure that the quality of the classes are bettering or improving uh, every time the classes are taken ahead. So, but do you think the feedback is taken very seriously, and the changes are brought exactly according to the feedback? And because you have seen how the evaluation has happened currently for all the batches, so your points on it.
And I think there are faculties and departments who do take the feedback from the ones that we submit at the end of the course very seriously. So if you could have something of that sort monthly, where the professor gets to know that these many people have attended my course, the classes, but these many people wasn't I wasn't audible enough, or they didn't have a good internet connection, or they weren't able to stay for the whole 1 hour. So these kind of minute details, if they get to know, I think there will be faculties and departments who will take that into consideration, and also probably shorten the duration of classes or take some measures on that. We will only know that if we actually reach out to the students and ask them if they were able to access it properly.
Okay, and according to your roles, you'll be the excom of Pragyan,
Right.
and taking the conditions which are right now outside. What is your take on it? Like, how do you think Pragyan might be held, or what are your views on it?
About Pragyan, I think the role of vice president should be in coordinating with the administration and the Pragyan core, so that it's easier for them. It's transparent. About Pragyan as such, I think time will have to say, because if Pragyan 2021 will happen, so, and I think the core will be doing really well, whatever.
And like, Pragya, you have anything? Okay, Maha, like you've been elected on a post, but two other candidates are running for the post of presidents. You might have seen their manifestos and how they've been campaigning. What are your views on both of them?
They've done extensive research, both of them, and there's been a lot of work that's put into each of their manifestos. And I would just like to say, may the best candidate win.
Okay, yeah, you're putting it good diplomatic.
Not
Cool. So
exactly.
yeah, Pragya, you have anything to add, or I think we can end it.
Yeah, we can conclude.
Yeah, so
Congratulations, Fatima, again, for being the
Thank
Vice
you.
President of Academic Year 2020-2021 Student Council.
so
Thanks a lot.
congratulations, Fatima.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's it for the VP discussion. Now Please, everyone, move on to the much awaited president debate. Thank you. Hi, everyone. Now we'll start with the presidential soapbox. First, both the candidates will give a short introduction, which will be followed by the question session by the student council.
Am I audible? Hello? Hello?
Yeah, hello. So if you're
Oh,
audible,
I can,
hi,
yeah,
hi,
yeah,
Da.
can hear you.
Can we like start?
Or
Yeah, okay. So I'll go ahead with the introduction. So hey guys, this is Venkat from the mechanical engineering department. I've been a part of various clubs and teams in the college, and I've been an active part in the department too. Do check out my Instagram handle to know more about my background. So today I just have two things to address in my introductory speech. First, it will be the continuation of the task force video, where he was talking about how one needs a leverage to ask questions to the admin. This thought process struck me after an incident which I would like to talk about here. So in the starting of my third year, so we had a CR meeting with the director and deans. It was the time when my friends and I realized that the present first years were not being added to the NIT Trichy calendar notice board. So it had like around 15,000 members, students and alumni. So when we raised this question to the director, ma'am, she told us that that group is not a place where you post stuff about lost and found objects and like dodge the question. I know now obviously students.nit.edu has come into picture, but back then calendar notice board was the only forum that we had. So that was when I realized you need some leverage to ask the right questions and get the right answers back, which has become my goal from that day, I would say. Moving on, I think all it takes is the desire to do good, and you need to convince yourself to do it. Throughout my 6th semester, I, along with my team, have been taking efforts to do stuff that a representative does, trying to address issues by not only developing manifestos, but gathering people's views, people meaning students, alumni, admin, and parents, and proposing practical solutions. We have also went ahead and provided a few timely solutions. You all would know about the webmail hack and the access of e-resources and how helpful they were in the times of exams for juniors. Along with this, I've also worked hard to facilitate my batchmates and juniors get internships, 25 of them to be precise. The satisfaction I get from helping others, getting things done for the student community would grow manifolds if I'm elected and have the leverage to support students in multiple other ways. I promise to give it my all to make sure that each and every student's voice is heard and every student's troubles are solved. Also, we have clearly explained our proposals and action plan in the blueprint series as well as in the retrospect series. I've also mentioned my responsibilities and the agenda. Feel free to ask any questions that you have. Thank you.
Can I start? Okay. Very good evening to everyone. I hope you're all safe and sound. I'm Kamlesh Khanna from the Computer Science Department, contesting for the post of Student Council President for the year 2021. So why do you want to contest for this post? That's a basic question that I'd like first start off with answering. This college has provided me an ample space and opportunity for me to work on myself and grow into a responsible individual to the multitude of teams, clubs, and initiatives that I have had the privilege to be a part of. Since the beginning of my college, I have worked hard to get myself into positions where I was held accountable for not just listening to students' concerns, but also be held responsible for them, starting with the role of the class representative just a few weeks into college. The faith placed in me only steeled my resolve to work harder on issues, and through that process, I realized that their needs and struggles were mine as well. I'm grateful for the opportunities that I have had, and I realized that I would be better suited to serve the student community and justify the faith that has been placed in me, the defined position of responsibility. Hence, I have decided to contest for the post of the Student Council President for the year 2021. In preparation for this position, I've spent a great amount of time interacting with those who dictate student affairs, both from the administration and the student body. I believe that approachability is an innate quality in a leader. And I have made genuine efforts to fraternize with everyone I've met over the 3 years of my college life. All these conversations have given me a unique insight into what the student expects and have taught me to listen to different opinions and come to an agreeable solution. Now, equipped with this preparation, I have drafted a manifesto to best help us cope with these unforeseen times and develop and set up some long-term initiatives to foster an environment of inclusivity and development across the campus. And if elected president, I promise to continue to being communicative and receptive to the problems students face, especially during these tough times, and work to the best of my abilities to solve them by always giving the power to the people. Now can I move on to my insights of the manifesto? Okay, so starting off with just providing a brief introduction about my manifesto. I would have already detailed you about the points in the live, so I'll just keep it very short. So coming to the first section of the manifesto, the digitalization. So the first point deals with providing remote access to articles, ebooks, etc., in collaboration with InflipNet. At present, we do have access to InflipNet to platforms such as eShoot Sindhu. We aim to extending it to other resource platforms available, such as Shodhganga, which provides access to Indian theses. And apart from that, a number of our access to e-resources like the National Digital Library are already expired. For example, the World Digital Library. So we can renew these access expiry dates. And apart from these, most of these online repository have a repository of research articles, papers, and etc. to provide access to standard books. And that recommended by the teachers. So we can have a master link of ebooks from reputed publishers, and provide access to students, research scholars, and faculty members through the portal or the e-library. Then coming to the next point, at this juncture, it's very crucial that all the students have access to scan copy of official documents like transcript, mark sheet, certificate, etc. Also, so portal can be made to streamline this process, and it will be easy for them to track the progress of the request also. So it'll be a one-stop. It can later extend to make it a one-stop portal for these documents. Then coming next point, protected access to MIS and other useful sites over the internet, which can be accessed over the at present at the internet. This can be accessed to the internet. So we have some useful sites like Ruby, and silver.edu, which have access to softwares and quality standards, etc. So that can be provided. Then the one important point for the clubs is that they would require WebEx account to conduct webinars for unlimited call time. If they want to host meetings or invite someone with a WebEx account, they can just join the meeting. And so we can provide WebEx account for all the clubs to conduct meetings and external client meetings. Then another issue for especially for running for rendering or for running softwares like TensorFlow, CAD, and etc. We can provide access to remote access to Okta systems through software such as Citrix. And that system can be put up in place. And for one more initiative that we want to talk about is following up on the students.nit.edu and implementing the students app. And then moving on to the next section, there's the development. So our first point deals with setting up a pre-incubator to enable exploration of business potential in student projects in collaboration with the existing clubs and services in place. See what this idea basically aims to do is that it helps to convert student ideas into prototypes and viable businesses. So the pre-incubator is still a role in the life of a startup. Now, the startup pre-incubator can provide them with the mentorship services and evaluation. Unlike at present, there are services like SADAI, but they may mainly deal with IT and CS projects such as scam and etc. So to make it more open up to other fields, we can have that feature can be included in the startup period, and we can even rope in alumni and faculty advisors as for providing mentorship and ensuring networking. Then coming up to we can also have workshops geared towards entrepreneurship, IP, etc. That can be conducted for these students who are working on the startup. In the long-term additional incentives, such as the participants who are developing the startup idea, can be that project can be made into a 2-credit elective depending upon the evaluation done by their respective faculty advisors. This will be one of the long-term initiatives that can be later thought about. So in the next point that we want to talk about, aggregating the research opportunities. See, at present, NIT has signed MOUs with numerous institutes and laboratories around the world, and students can avail this intern experience through locations to the Office of International Relationships, but not many are aware of these opportunities. So what can be done is in the OIR website, the line with what the OIR is planning, we can have notifications, and the OIR members can actively reach out with these institutes, the laboratories that we have an MOU with, and whenever there is an opportunity for any conference that we can attend or any place for internship opportunities available, these can be notified on the website, and any students can avail such services and apply through it by submitting their resume, and then the second round of scrutinizing resume online interview can happen. So this will basically gap the present problem where students have to just mail up the professors at odd times and expect a reply. So we can tap into the institute's existing MOUs with very reputed institutions and other laboratories like the one in New York. Then forming a special interest groups. So basically the idea behind this was we wanted a portal where students and alumni can join and discuss on and collaborate for discussions and etc. So the major issue that would with the reporters as such would be the privacy issues. So if we can enable the formation of special interest groups where the personal details such as the contact details and etc. are not visible, but students and alumni can interact with each other online. This will allow current students to create, this will allow current students to clear any doubts that they have. Say if any clubs, say the Spider is working on any project and they're stuck somewhere, they can ask approach to special interest groups like say robotics interest groups, and they can clarify the doubts with that. Or say at present, if they want to go to a reputed conference like the ICRA conferences, then once they explain about these conferences, in these special interest groups, then appropriate funding can be brought about, because that was an issue that happened this year, where a group from teams from Spider was selected for such a reputed conference, but they could not go to it. So then moving on, the next point deals with sustainable waste management. See, at present, every student generates waste on a daily basis. How it is being dealt with is either dumped behind hostels like Jasper and etc., or it is being burnt. So what can be done is, by making simple changes in the way we dispose the waste we generate in the first place, we not only reduce the carbon footprint relief, but also generate revenue by recycling of valuable waste commodities. So how can we go about doing this? Is students in hostels should be asked to discard valuable waste, in specific bins. These valuable waste can include paper, plastic, aluminum, etc. And we can also have dedicated e-waste bins placed at strategic locations around campus. So along the same vein, we can have already at present we have a biogas plant that running at the features of 1 MTD. So that can be availed to continue the process of food waste generated at the messes, and can be aggressively used to generate biogas. And the same biogas can be sold to the messes, and they can use as fuel. This system is why it's not actively followed is because the messes were not following up with the EMC, and the supply chain was not proper. So this can be worked on providing appropriate incentives. Then another similar initiative is the Green Energy Fund. By implementing a circular green fund that would be solely responsible for the execution of sustainable projects on campus, we can tap into renewable energy sources to provide additional energy, and also generate income for the fund through the project's life cycle. So, for example, we have solar PV power generation plant on campus with an initial fund from SECI. So what can be done? The savings that we get through the solar plant can be for again invested in this project. So this will get a cycle of funding rather than us being dependent on external funding. So once the initial amount is procured, that can be used to set up energy saving methods like a solar panel. From that, we can extend to other energy efficient methods like lighting. We can address the lighting issues, electronics, and etc. Then coming on to the industry side. So we at present we do have good active collaboration between the institute and the industries. So what can be proposed is adding on to the COEs in place, like the COE by AI, NVIDIA, Siemens, that's going to come up recently. Has come up recently, and the NVIDIA COE that's going to come up also. So we can adding on to that, we can have more industry tailor-made courses at present in the curriculum itself. See, for example, we do have an MOU with the IBM, a cloud computing course can be offered. So that was the main idea of the. So we can tap into the industry institute to have more courses like these, more enhanced internship opportunities with these industries we have an MOU with. Okay, then coming back to the next section of Manifesto, that is academics. First thing that I want to talk about is streamlining online classes. As the next semester we'll be going on to an online platform, I felt it's imperative for the students that we have, for the betterment of the student community, that we streamline the procedure of the online classes. This is just a basic set of guidelines that can be followed. So we can have once a common platform for online classes is decided, the recordings of the lecture should be available. Already it is if you use platforms like Microsoft Teams, it's already available. What can be done, or alternatively, you can upload the link onto the internet or the Moodle. Platforms like Moodle, etc. And then for alternatively, students who cannot attend this online class, or do not have enough internet to view the recordings, alternate links can be provided where they can read on their own, so that they don't miss up on the classes. So this is something that can be done. Then, as mentioned, transferable credits from online platforms like Swayam, etc., are already in place, and such a scheme exists. Suggested by the UGC way back in 2016. It mandates that 20% of all courses offered in a semester can be from such platforms. But few departments have gone ahead and experiment with it. But the first step is lacking in all the proper first step is lacking in all the departments uniformly. So that can be addressed in virtual labs. So another major issue for the second and third years and first years would be attending the labs. So what can be done is, at present we do have an ICT initiative, which is labs. It has more than 700 plus experiments that can be used. At present, various IITs and NITs, like NIT Circle is a participating institute. So once NIT becomes a participating institute, tailor-made courses can be provided for NIT. But even now, we can still access the free lab experiments that are being provided there. If in the case that the lab course mandates that the students' presence to be there, then it can be worked on such that the lab course is being shifted next semester, and we have more theory courses. It will add on to the load of the students from already 7 theory courses. But rather than losing out, losing out on important vital course such as a lab, which they have to be in campus, can be can overlook the burden of 8 courses in the semester. Then one more important issue is the compensatory assessments. For students who are not able to write the end semester along with the seniors because either because of unforeseen circumstances or because they had some other internal opportunities, or for the students who won't be able to write the present end semesters, a scheme or a provision for compensatory assessment should be provided at the department's discretion to ensure that they have they are able to sit for placement internship of the as well
One,
as students.
one second. Sorry to interrupt, but as we are running short on time, can you please finish this so that we can move on to the question session?
Okay, so I have to move on to the next section, or okay, I just wrap it up in 3 minutes.
We'll wrap this up.
So the next point just means alumni support and resources and scholarships. Then moving on to the last section, last 2 sections of the manifestos, that is the student activities and campus welfare. So what can be done is facilitating community contribution by technical and social clubs through MHRD schemes such as the Margadarshan scheme and the Unnat Bharat Abhiyan scheme. At present, under these schemes, we are the mentoring institutes for 20 plus institutions, and under the Unnat Bharat scheme, we have to take care of the caretaker for 5 plus villages. So what can be done is with the collaboration of technical clubs and social clubs like Akara, teaching can be provided, technical education can be provided, the tech clubs, and when you extending it further, clubs such as YITDC can provide study these villages and provide proper case study on why this such issue exists, like and provide viable solutions for these villages and aid in the improvement. And it will be as essential, very imperatively. It is very imperative at these times, dealing with an economic crisis as such. So the next point will deal with the improving the visibility of students' contribution through NIT social media handles and leveraging this to incentivize campus development projects. So at present, there is no proper incentive for students, to take part actively in the campus development projects. So if such a methodology is put in place where students are active incentives is provided to students by renewed publicity or say visibility on social media, that can be good incentive for more and more students to take up campus development projects. Third idea would be developing a pan NIT platform, because at present there's a lot of network of knowledge, alumni and exchange opportunities that can be tapped on by through all the NITs that are present across India. So a pan NIT platform can be developed. The problem with the developing such a platform over the years was it just be constantly taken care of by a particular institute. NIT Trichy was responsible for 3 to 4 years ago. So if we can go on to because we are the host of NIT Conclave this year, we can mandate that the host of each NIT Conclave should take care of the NIT platform. So moving on to the last section, I just mentioned the points. One third explanation. We have the campus welfare, so we can restructure the rate contract to introduce or increase the number of women workers or plumbers, electricians for OPAL in the upcoming renewal tender. So this will ensure that the offer anonymous entry of workers into OPAL, then improving the inclusivity of women and underrepresented communities in clubs through a sustainable structure, supported by peer interaction with the help of communities like Anita Bog, etc. And the last point, implementing robust testing protocols for the staggered voluntary re-entry of students and ensuring quality control. These are the brief introduction or the summary of my manifesto points. I did provide a detailed explanation that you can look up to my site or check out the live highlights. So I just like to conclude and wish all the best for Venkat.
Hi guys, both of you. Hi.
Hi, bro.
Kamlesh, you can also unmute the.
Hello.
So, we've been following your campaign from past, I don't know, a lot of months. We've seen a fierce campaign before in our 4 years once, but we haven't seen such long campaigning before. And you guys have, both of you have been head on head with a lot of different strategies, which is good and a very healthy competition. And you guys have researched a lot, which probably we were just discussing today, that what it may be like. I may be half knowledgeable when I was sitting for my SoapBox then. What you guys have been doing now, It's very good for both of you and on what you guys have done. And Pragya, please
Yeah,
start with.
guys,
Yeah.
good job on the manifesto. Um, so, you would like to start the question, Snehat, or?
Yeah, you start. You start. I'll take the name.
Okay. This point is not from the manifesto of either of you, and it is for both of you. The question is for both of you. So, you must have heard of cyberbullying, and it is something that has been happening for a very long time in our campus, but people are not aware of it. And so, when someone complains about it, the maximum the institute can do is, suspend the student. But the student who is behind the screen is behind the screen anywhere, even after suspension. Like he's at home, he can still be behind the screen and do it. And it has happened that the student has continued the harassment. So, what would be your solution? What do you think can be the approach for this problem? Because the student is not going to stop on a platform that is available to him anywhere. So, what would be a solution that you can propose? Any one of you can take the question first.
Yeah, I think.
So,
Yeah, let me tell you first. Uh, so I feel like the institute should take very serious action against the student if in case they find out who the student is, because cybercrime is legally a very it's a very big crime that nobody should be doing. And also we should focus on prevention more than uh, you know uh, whatever is happening later. So we should be more focused on making students aware on how this can be prevented, how not to be victims of cybercrime. We can probably have sessions in orientation talking about it, along with fire riddle, etc. And yeah, for student support we have the student counselor. Yeah, so along with that we can probably have a few students who can team up with the counselor and identify people who are into problems, and who can open out to students more than the counselor, and probably these students can help them identify these students. Yeah.
okay. So if I can answer, so what
Yeah,
some
go
one
ahead.
thing unique about about cyberbullying that you mentioned was that the student was identified, or he can be expelled from the college and still go on to trouble the students, and technically doesn't come under the purview of the institute because it's not happening in the institute, and the institute has taken action to suspend students. But it's still very mentally disturbing for the person in question, because it's a constant torment. So what can be done is, once the person is identified, he should first be named along all the file platforms. Say that council can take the initiative to publish the details of the student, saying he's the one who's being caused it out, because he's been identified and he's already been expelled. So people know that he's been doing these activities, and we're still continuing. We can make sure that he's been his name, his details have been made available to students. This is only to ensure that no one accidentally gives out personal details about the person in question to the one who's been harassing them constantly. Second thing that can be done is this, strict warnings and detailing about the consequence of such an action can be sent to the person who's been harassing their homes. Because if you're still continuing even after suspension, that means active efforts have not been taken from the person's house, or who's responsible for the maintaining for that person. So the council or the institute, as a precaution measure, can mail the person in question detailing all the consequences of the legal consequences of what can happen. Even though technically we cannot have a pursue legal action, but detailing about such a consequences at least will make the parents aware, and they'll keep a check on the students. So, but one thing that definitely student council should take about doing is publicizing the person in question, so that no one shares the contact details of the person whom he is harassing. And number two, coming to a prevention method, this is just a suggestion. So usually how cyberbullying happens is people get numbers from secondary, tertiary sources. So just to keep a check on that, maybe when posters are shared by clubs or any teams, maybe we can have a club cell phone number that can be put it on posters for contacting any queries and all sorts, etc. This will ensure that private numbers are not leak through college platforms. And for friends, because if the person is named and details have been published, then people will be more careful about sharing the details of the girl students to the person who's been harassing them. So this will take care of prevention and also make increase awareness and make sure that even the parent made aware of the actions that the student is doing to harass the other students. So these are some of the solutions that can be done to address cyberbullying.
This was not a girl-specific question, but any
Okay.
student.
Yeah.
And what happens is that usually the people who are doing this belong to a family background where we have found that usually who are doing this belong to a family background where the parents are not that educated. So what happens is that even if you tell the parents, they don't understand what's going on. I mean, the cases that we have encountered, the parents didn't know what it is, and they honestly wouldn't give attention to something that they do not understand absolutely. So, and again, I feel the idea of I mean, I don't know how would you stop this on a platform like and it's not the details like contact or others, but it's just something that is there on Instagram that I have a friend who's following me. He took a screenshot and he passed it on. So things like that. So it's not something like contact details. It might be a picture that might have been circulated from my Instagram profile, even though that person is not following me, but the friend is there. But that was a very good idea that we can put a club's contact on the poster rather than putting the person contact. That's a very good idea. And yeah, prevention before
other colleges also.
why should it happen at all? So that's pretty good. Yeah, go ahead. Okay.
No, I just saying if the club number is there, if it's going to other colleges also, it will make sure that it is restricting harassment issues from preventing in the first place. And yeah, as you said, the parents will not be aware of the legal consequences of what might happen. But making someone aware that it's illegal or action can be taken if it comes from a reputable source like the institute that the member is enrolled in, it'll have some weightage rather than just threats by the person who's being harassed.
Correct. Minute, go ahead.
Yeah, so you're done. Hello? Hello? Yeah, so am I audible?
Yeah.
Okay, so the thing is, like, we have seen your manifestos. A lot of them were very explanatory, and of course, there are some lapses which we think you guys can definitely find it after you guys get into the post, adapt to them, and do it. So we don't have much questions on your manifesto as such, because like you guys have done good research on what you guys are putting. So I have a set of like 14 questions or so, which we picked up from what we have done over the year. It's not related to any manifesto or anything. It's just basically what we have faced over the year, how it's going to be, and how you guys are going to tackle it. So you just keep your answers crisp. You need not go out of the context or anything. Just keep it crisp. Just tell whatever you can. And there's no right answer like a yes or no for this question. It's not like a true or false. It's just how you guys tackle it. Just the simple things. So just be what you are and keep it
Wait,
short. Yeah.
wait. Before you start the rapid fire, I'll just ask a general question, which is usually asked in a student council SoapBox. That this motivation to come out for standing for a post of president, for serving the community, leave the post for serving the student community. It's not something that comes up, like randomly. It is something that's there in you since for a certain period of time, and then you come up with this thought that I really want to serve this student community and I'll take up the post. So I would like you would have served the student community before as well, because this motivation would have drive you to this candidation. So just share if what have you done in the past to the student community, and this is also a chance for you to let the students know that you are the deserving candidate.
Yeah. Can I start it?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, because Venkat has already been actively make students aware. So let me just start off. So my first, my responsibility into college as soon as I came into college was taking up the class representative. So that happened. I still remember the first time when I came to college. That was the first election that I participated in, and there was voting and all. And the first thing, there's a lot of hype to be a part of, to be a class representative. So I also participated in hype, and I became a class representative. So once did that, I realized that the post had restrictions and all that. But as I started addressing student queries to the best of my abilities, and as more and more students started approaching me with varied queries, it's not necessary that it was restricted to the jurisdiction of the council or a class representative powers or something. But people started asking me for approaching for more and more queries, anything in general, because they started trusting me that I could solve the issues. And that trust actually made me work harder. I really want to find out what the issue, what was wrong, and all that, because it felt good helping people, and I generally liked socializing and fraternizing with people. So whenever someone asked a favor, I really wanted to work hard on doing the favor. That is how I started taking the active interest in student consults. It must sound as a small post, but it's actually the class representative that provided me a platform, to serve more for student community, and not just, and because I started growing a lot as myself. Then after that, I followed up with this sports teams. So once I joined various sporting teams, I learned to work as a team. That happens in any sport team. You learn to how to lead, what are the correct discipline and motivation factors, all that come in. So coming back, focusing mainly on the question you said about servicing or something. So after that, I was part of the student social council also in my third year. Then one of the main drive, as you said, for servicing is this only, because over the years, as more and more students start approaching me
When
for
you
issues,
saw
and
your actions bringing change and helping students, you felt like this is
I need a, if I can do, I felt that I can help students with this platform with a much better and a more responsible, fixed responsibility like a student president. I'll be able to be a lot more. And one thing I really enjoyed about this campaign that happened over the past 4-5 months is because healthy competition, I've learned a lot. I honestly thought that didn't know that I would improve on myself so much over just these 5 months of the campaign. So I can't wait to if elected to be the post to learn to know how much I can learn, because even this campaign months was so exciting. That it provided me a lot of memories that I'll take home. So I really want to know the experience of being Stolen Council president.
Yeah, so let me start. I'll talk about my contributions in third year, because that was more impactful. And in the first 2 years, it was more of learning, but still there was contribution, but it was more of a learning. So let me start off with my third year contribution. So starting off, as a part of NITSAC, we had assisted Recal in organizing GAM, so which turned out to be a great success. Then during the quarantine, we had this internship drive where I, as the only third year member of NITSAC, along with my team, brought down 13 alumni companies and got internships for around 25 students. Also conducted 7 webinars from topics like design thinking to all industrial core topics. Then we had an online course, which was certified. So this was the quarantine contribution from my side. So going back, starting from the first year, so I was a part of NCC, where I was able to contribute a lot, starting from the blood donation camps to breast cancer awareness camps, to a lot that we've contributed to the college. Then we had AVEG, so I was a part of AVEG OC as well as the AVEG core, where we helped the first years get into the college and make their initiation very smooth. Then I was a part of NIT chess team. And as Kamlesh mentioned, so discipline and working towards a goal is there in a sports team, where I learned it. Then I was a part of Festember Media Relations, where I would say I learned the basic of marketing and contributed to Festember. Then I was a part of Festember Treasury too, where I learned about bill settlements and handling the admin, etc. And I was also a part of ECEL as a corporate relations member, and I was able to connect with a lot of corporate people out there, and built my contacts and also helped the club. And then I was also as a part of MM2 mess committee member. I was checking out the mess plans and whatever was happening there, and the feedback, etc. So that is the learning which I took from the first 2 years, and also my contribution. And then we have the campaign over 6 months. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Good. I think Snehit, you can take over and go ahead with the rapid fire. 14 questions rapid
So,
fire. Go ahead.
yeah, so hi guys, and thanks for the compliments in the comment section by us, by the people. And you like, I just want you to go on with the normal, the way you answer it. Don't take it to heart or anything. Just answer what you get right now. You need not think anything. Just be crisp and tell what you guys get it. So first question will be a simple like normal. What points like today we had other soap boxes also happening. So what are good points you guys saw in those? Can you guys like just tell like 4 or 5 of them in each soap box? What did you guys find was good in that candidate who was talking or in that soap box? Which important points came up?
Just a set of points that you find were highlighting. Just mention it in a series quickly.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was there through the VP's, soapbox. When Maha was, talking about her initiatives and how she was going to do about that. So there, I heard Pragya mentioned about how student inclusion for ICC members have been brought about over the course of 3 years. Actually, I knew that ICC student inclusion ICC was there, but I didn't know that the process took 3 years to come about to place. That was one thing I learned, and the other thing I really was interested to learn about the feasibility of having a the changing a department, whether it was possible or not. And it was good to know the insight provided by Snaith. So that is something I learned from the soapbox that Maha had. And so that's pretty much it, because I was not able to be present for the other soapboxes. So that is pretty much I've learned from our soapbox.
Yeah. So I was there in the GS soapbox. So I heard my main point about Rahul mentioning that he could use the opportunity of students not being there in the campus and utilizing it for campus development. So that was one point there. And I was there throughout Maha's soapbox, where Vice President soapbox, where the discussion was happening about the peer-to-peer support, etc., about the information, fourth year's information going to the students, and how will it be classified, etc., and the talk about Pragyan, what will her roles and responsibilities be, and yeah, so that was pretty much about both the soapboxes.
So you guys did not attend anything else other than these two soapboxes, and Kamlesh 1, Venkat 2, and you guys are gonna be part of the team next year for the whole year, and you guys should know what all they're discussing, what are their points, so that you guys can also contribute accordingly. So that's one thing. And next, right now, council is under Dean Students Welfare. So what do you guys think about it? Do you guys think it should be a independent body, not under Dean Students Welfare, or it should be continue? It should like continue under being under Dean Students Welfare.
I think the council should be a parallel body along with the Dean Student Welfare, because we are trying to represent the students to the admin and being the bridge there, and not being the admin's representative to the students. So it is better, and if it is possible, the Students' Council should be a parallel. Ideally, it should be a parallel body to the Dean Students Welfare.
It is true that some of these institutions, other institutions across India have a separate student senate of sorts, but it's an independent body, and they have more questioning authority on the admin. But as I said, to ensure better synergy between the functioning of the council and the admin, when it is a part of an under the provision of student welfare, there's the better interaction, and the student it's easier to represent students' queries to the admin side, and facilitate smooth communication. So counting on the opportunities of better communication and faster representation of ideas when you are a part of working under the students' welfare, I think those advantages outweigh an independent student senate.
Okay. Next one is like right now every event is gonna go online. Like almost, I'm not sure if anything would actually take place in college as of now. So how do you guys wanna work on it? Because if you just think that I'll take a decision after going there, or let the moment come, then we'll decide, then it's not gonna work. It's better you guys be ahead of what's gonna happen and suggest something to admin, or you tell something beforehand. So what are your view on those things, like events going online?
So yeah, taking this question. So what can be done is, so it's not necessary that because as a president, it is important that he coordinates the works of all the student activity clubs. It's not essentially that we provide a strict timeline for the clubs to follow. But what can be done is, say for the technical clubs, for them to actively engage the student community, they can have weekend teaching seminars where they can interact with students and say DC or say PSI or Spider can remotely teach about teach about how building a virtual model. Access to these platforms can be provided through the council. As I already mentioned, when you provide WebEx access for clubs, such meetings can be hosted for free on the weekends, or whenever fixed time available on the weekdays, like a regular college, and anyone can join it, and they can take part in learning sections. The club members can also actively engage with the student committee. Now, one, this will increase their awareness among the students, and because at present we cannot have active student teaching. This will be like an integrated teaching that will happen for students in the lockdown, because of tapping into the clubs that the college provides for student community. They also tend to learn something from the clubs that are there, or for the clubs also they have better recognition and they can actively engage with the students. So that be done for technical clubs, even cultural clubs like DT, or SP can have dance workshops on weekends where they can teach students more about in the houses. This comes along the lines with staying active, or it actually it's a good stress buster also. Same for DT also, it helps them engage better, stay active throughout the semesters. And considering it's going to be very fully online, social initiatives are going to be difficult to implement. But we can tap into online platforms, crowdsource funding. We can have students to provide talent shows, and the fund raised to that can be donated to organizations. So this can be done for the social clubs. Same, look at that. Similarly for the cultural clubs, they can engage students by providing having regular interactions, teaching sessions. Same can be done for the technical clubs also. It's just a framework. It's not necessary that they have to follow what the student council is saying, but this can be done, and all the resources to platforms, model building, etc., can be provided by the council.
Yeah, Snehit, I just have a question. So by events, what did you mean? Do you mean the club activities that are happening, or what do you want us to answer about?
Yeah, activities that are happening like club, fest, everything.
Yeah. So
Everything,
yeah,
everything that the student council does.
yeah. So I feel like right now the clubs have already switched to the online mode. See, all the technical clubs say they switched to working on online mode, and it's been 3 months and they've been habituated to it. And even cultural clubs, they're making their online presence strong, even fests as well. So now for the clubs particularly, it will be the inductions which will be the problem. After inducting juniors, they need to get them set to working on an online mode. And similarly for the fests. So what I think it was even mentioned in the manifesto about fixing the academic hours, and giving separate hours for the clubs to work on their work on whatever they want to. So that will be one possibility that we can explore.
Want to just one point. I think coming to inductions, I think it's mandatory that we first ensure that induction happens, because I heard there's a provision that Deans has banned the induction process for the clubs presently. So first step would be for any council member would be revoking the ban so that clubs can start inducting first years. That also should be done.
There is no ban. It would be a very harsh way of saying that has been banned.
I'm so sorry,
But yeah, I think we have.
Yeah, there's a temporary hold on that.
Yeah. The hold has we are in process of removing the hold. Also, I think we meant all the activities that the student council covers. So you can also mention development activities. I think Snehit meant all the activities, not just the club activities. So you can, if you wish to expand the answer to all the development activities, mess, anything.
And also
Yeah.
fest as well. Like none of you mentioned anything about the fest.
Yeah.
They're like
Yeah.
the big events that happen, and about them also.
Okay.
Yeah.
Uh,
So regarding the development activities, right now for the next 6 months, there is not going to be anybody in the college. So we can carry out a lot of development proposals, that we promised in our manifesto, and that is being in the pipeline for the students, by the students' council. We can initiate a lot and get things fixed. Right now, Ambere, they have been, trying to increase bandwidth, and they've put bandwidth extenders for testing. So similar initiatives can be carried out throughout, and we can, as through council, we can push the admin to do more in this time, because this is golden time to do that. And regarding fests, right now they're doing wonderfully online, all the fests, and if we should push for maximum possibility for it to happen in the next, when we come back to college, at least as an intra-college event, if not for an inter-college event. We need to try to make it happen, and depending upon the situation there, time has to say if that can happen, or we'll have to go fully online.
Okay, just adding on to these development projects, this present time can be focused on, provided that we have a safe method for entry, facilitating the entry of workers, or use the present workers already in campus to have ensure safety methods. We can work on a lot of renovation projects. The sewer pipelines can be fixed. These are a major issue for water shortage for so many years. So this type of time can be tapped efficiently for fixing sewer pipelines, because they usually involve taking out the entire pipes, and that will cause water shortage, stoppage for at least a day or so. So that will cause a lot of hindrance if the students were in campus. But so these opportunities can tap to have repair works, renovation works, and all that. Then coming on to student activities. So fest. So considering the possibility that fest can happen, the next semester or so, we should ensure that they happen in a staggered manner. Like we should push for maximum to have them in a separate window where the clubs can happen. And if the scenario that they're not happening offline and they're happening online, then easy withdrawal of funds as and when required should be implemented. So that because unlike before, where the events are going to happen in a staggered manner on weekends or like just on a month end, clubs should have the facility to happen the funds, while it is already in place that the dean has agreed for the clubs to take into funds. The council president should ensure that these clubs have access to, the fests have access to the clubs as and when funds as and when required to have conduct events throughout the semester, because it's considering it's going to be online. So this is something that can be added on. And if there's a provision for students to come back later, so that can be done through a staggered manner, and then have efficient protocols like double testing. That can be done. Okay. Because we are paying according to the structure, we are paying activity.
Okay. So the next one is, you guys think there should be a hierarchy in council, or there shouldn't be any hierarchy inside, like council internal things?
The hierarchy, see, according to the student action doc that's been released, there's a clear set of responsibilities that have been allocated to different council members. While a strict hierarchy is not required in place, but it happens due to the inherent factor that a person who has spent 3 years in college will have a better experience not dealing with things than a first year. So the hierarchy it does exist by default. It's not like it's a bad thing. It's not like if the first year member is really talented, we're not going to overshadow him or restrict him to the portfolios mentioned for this post. Because once you become president, along with focus, you should start working on a council, and you should responsibly mentioned in your post, but also you should work actively to go behind that and help the student community in general, and not just restrict yourself to the responsibilities allocated as a president. Because once you form a council, it's an entire council. So you have to target which initiatives that are more important and work on these, even though they're not present in your manifesto, they can be present in other members' manifesto, and to ensure that the hierarchy is not in place. Something that can be done as a long-term initiative is to decentralize the council positions. See, at present, we do have fixed positions like the president, the vice president, and etc. There are so many other committees in place where they are quite powerful. For example, like this council implemented the active mess committee last semester, where they have a lot of power to check up on messes and all that. But to provide active incentives for students to be a part of mess committee, or to be able to take up the roles of HR, we can have a post like a hostel secretary, where that can be made a council post. So students can be that can be restricted to the people who are existing HRs or a part of the mess committee, and these posts can be clubbed under the domain of hostel secretary. So he'll be in charge of all the mess committees, all the hostel affairs acting in place. The same can be done for alumni international response secretary. Then you have sports secretary. It can be done along these lines of the existing secretary post. Yeah, I'm wrapping it up. Sorry.
Yeah. So according to me, when it comes to that batch's issues and academics and those situations that a particular batch faces, the particular representative should take up should step up and take responsibility. And I do not think no hierarchy will be there. But when it comes to overall general proposals and improvement of the campus, etc., there needs to be some hierarchy, because as Kamlesh said, there's a difference between a person who's like 3 years in and who's just starting off. But apart from that, for each batch's issues, it should be that batch representative who's standing up for their batch. Yeah.
Okay, and as Kamlesh mentioned in his like the answer he told now, we've got one more thing. Like as you told, there can be hostel secretary, and the question is for both. There can be hostel secretary, and as the same, there can be a person for academics as well called an academic secretary. Then how will the responsibilities be exactly distributed, or how will the council be working exactly if all these secretaries are there?
See, at present, when every council member goes into the council, he or she will have his own set of manifestos or initiatives that he wants to take, he wants to do. But there are a lot of day-to-day council affairs that that will keep them busy or keep him or her busy, from working actively on that manifesto. To ease that burden, what can be done is, see, if you mentioned that how to define the roles of a hostel secretary. So at present, the hostel committee is in place with the deans, conveners, and all that. So then we can have a committee for all the HRs, and along with them, they can form the hostel committee. Then we have a committee for the mess committee. So the responsibility of a hostel secretary would be like this. So every year there's a impressed amount for a hostel that will be taken care of by the warden, and he'll be asked to spend on the hostel for a period of 3 months. So some 20,000 rupees is given to the hostel development, like any buying up of equipments, bags, balls, etc. So that fund is to be spent along with the discussion with the HR. So this active monitoring of these funds can be responsible of these hostel secretary. Then calling for the mess tenders can be a responsibility of the hostel secretary, because he'll be in charge of the mess committee also. So in coordination with the mess committee, the hostel committee can take care of the distribution of impress amount, calling for the mess tenders and extra. So that will be the role of the hostel secretary. And you mentioned academic secretary. It's not essential that you should have a specific post academic secretary. The vice president can take up the academic secretary role in specific. So it can be demarcated. The position can be demarcated as such, and proper decentralization can be put up in place.
Yeah. So I believe that the talks about decentralization of council has been there since a long time, even in our college. There are other colleges like IIT Madras which works effectively with this structure because of the admin structure there. Okay, and I believe that the structure that the present council is having would be the best to coordinate with the administration right now that is there, because with only limited number of people you can avoid a lot of hierarchies in communication and have a efficient council. So this decentralization has been in talks a lot of time but has not been implemented until now, because I feel like our council works the best with the situation of administration that we have right now.
Okay, so yeah, Pragya, you have anything to ask, or shall I continue?
Go ahead.
Yeah. So like generally, so generally every day you guys get like hundreds of questions. Like I mean, most of them are generally council will take up anything which affects a specific number of students or large number of students. We generally take it up and do the work. But every day you guys will be receiving hundreds of messages from different individuals, ranging from like first year to PhD on various issues, wherein the problem is genuinely faced, and you might have to go and solve it, or at least you should have to put a word or something from council side sometimes to any of the authorities to make sure that they understand the situation. In those sort of cases, how you guys want to go, as Kamlesh mentioned, the day-to-day works of council will actually come when you guys are gonna implement your manifesto. So how are you gonna manage this part, because this is going to be very recurrent throughout your council period, that people will message you for a lot of things every day, and how you're going to handle that?
Sometimes when you are not even responsible for your own batch, you're not responsible for being president, you are responsible for everything, but then you can allot the work to that specific batch representative, but it will end up being handed over to you because it is not getting solved until you interrupt the process. So, and then there'll be a lot of situations where you will have to interrupt the process. So how will you manage time, or how will you streamline work so that either the batch representative takes it up properly, or your interruption and your own work goes hand in hand?
Yeah. So I had a talk with a lot of council members regarding this earlier, and then there was one point which is very clear to me, that the responsibility of the council is in itself very huge. Like, we've got a lot. The council will have a lot to handle. As in, their own responsibilities is going to be very huge, and it will only be very difficult to manage. And so that is why I've been mentioning in my manifesto or my campaign throughout, saying the responsibilities of the council is itself very difficult to manage, which added on along with your manifesto points and extra promises is only going to put a lot of pressure on you. And there have been instances when people have not been able to pursue all the points that have been put in the manifesto. And so that is why I feel like the responsibilities of the council should be given more priority, and that should be acted on, because at the end of the day, addressing the students and talking to them and finding out your problems and addressing it is more important than some initiative that you have told that you will promise and you will give it to the students. So I feel like, and also I have made my manifesto in a very similar way, very short and crisp, that the additional promises are not much, and I assure that I'll focus on my responsibility as to address students and solve their problems.
Can answer the question. As I already mentioned, when you come to the council, you'll have your specific set of manifestos or initiatives that you want to work on. So that is why I clearly mentioned that once you become a part of the council, you should have a broader view where you work on the issues in general, and you should extend beyond the responsibilities given in your specific election calendar notice board. You can see that these are specific responsibilities of the president. So that should extend beyond that and address the general student queries. So you should not be limit yourself to the initiatives. So, but what can be done to effectively balance, both the initiative that you want to personally put forth as a council member is you can prioritize. So it is absolutely essential that we start addressing day-to-day queries, actively respond to problems that students face. Because that is the face of this student to the students. Other thing that we can is see if you consider that we are going to move to the next semesters. So all these digitalization initiatives and academic initiatives are absolutely essential, and they'll help the students in the long term. So they should be actively pursued along with the day-to-day queries. For the long-term, development plans, can you put on hold for now? So when the situation gets better, you can start working on them. So by effectively prioritizing your, agendas and having effective and have a proper timeline, you can make proper, enough time for your day-to-day queries, and also start working on your initiatives. Stretched, in a staggered manner over your entire timeline, and also by prioritizing effectively the exact initiative that you want to focus on. Because in the manifesto, you suggest all the initiatives that will best fulfill and achieving it, or if you put up a cornerstone in place, that can happen 2 or 3 years later. You mentioned ICC member was a student member was included in ICC because of the efforts of 3 years. So if you don't actively pursue your initiatives that you mentioned in the manifesto, considering that if you don't do it, considering that it may not be done this particular year, then you're missing out on this implementing this opportunity 2 years down the line. So I feel both of them should be actually pursued by making efficient, effective timeline and prioritizing your issues at hand.
So actually that's the problem. We can't have a specific timeline. Like, these things just suddenly pop up to you and you have to solve it. Okay, we'll move on to the next question. So just take an example. Like, now your exams are going to happen from 3rd to 14th, if I'm not wrong. Yeah. So let your exams go happen. Then you guys have to get your circulars for redos, revals, everything, and students have to sit for placements. So everyone is in a hurry to get a redo and reval circular so that they'll increase their grades or they have to rectify everything. But at the same time, admin is working on something else, or basically there's been a delay from the admin side in releasing the circulars. And you have to be pressured from both sides. Like, every day, a lot of students message you that I need my reval circular or I need my redo circular. If not, I'm not sitting in the placements. It's a very big thing for me. At the same time, you talk to admin, they say that we are working on, but they don't give you a legit reason, and they just delay release of a circular. And this is just a simple example wherein you'll be put a lot in these sort of things, wherein you get pressure from both the sides. And how you guys are going to act in such situations?
Yeah, okay. Should I answer or Kamlesh answer?
Yeah, anyone can answer.
Yeah, so yeah, sure. So first thing is both sides pressure. It is always there. We know we have signed up for this when we're standing for a post, that there will be pressure from both the sides, and this being a very very concerned, very important issue for the students, it will be our responsibility to explain the importance of this issue to administration. See, there will be some connect behind which the admin is missing, and that is why they might be working on some other issue. Say right now for the revals and redo, so the connect that the student is going to sit for placements might not have been considered, because they will be seeing the whole picture of all 4 years, and they'll be like, okay, so reval we can have it delayed. So but when we put forth all the specific points and say that this is going to be the exact reason why the reevaluation or redo circulars should come out, so and when we explain this and be transparent to them as well, I think we can push it better and get stuff done fast. It is about prioritizing. Yeah, we have to make the admin switch priorities, where we need to convince them. A good amount of convincing is also needed.
So as adding on, so what I like to suggest is, it is true that the student will be have an urgent need for the requirement documents or so. So he'll be trying to constantly get in touch with us to basically to know what is the stage of this request, what is happening to the request he's placed for the particular document that is required. Will it get it or not? So the first step you can do is you can effectively communicate with him, explaining what is going on, so that he can at least put to rest his queries, and he can at least know what is happening. And dealing with the admin, one essential quality that should be that is perseverance. It is not true. It is true that any initiative that you put forth is not going to be immediately sanctioned, or the deans is going to take up immediate notice. So you'll have to repeatedly approach them. You have to go talk to them again and again and again. For the student, it'll be a need. It'll be his own personal need. So that's why he'll be trying to constantly ask us, remind us again, ask for the document, etc. As you already mentioned, like once you become a council, that need becomes your need too. So once we realize that, then we'll also perceive on following up with the admin, placing on the request. So at one point the admin has to dwell in information, or at least tell us what is going on. So if that is ensured, then we can convey that to the student, and enforce the purchase or the procurement of the required document or such. That the proper perseverance of following up with the admin, and the proper communication with the student of what is going on, you can basically act as the perfect bridge between what is going on in the admin and what the student requires. So that can be achieved through the proper perseverance and structure that I mentioned.
Next question is like, as of you guys have a lot of proposals in hand, everything, and some of them involve money also in them. And every time you take a proposal or anything to administration also, they give you a number of examples or what a previous council did, or what students in previous years did on wherever it can go wrong. Like either they have dwindled with the money involved, or they've done some mistakes in the previous council, or the previous students like who have done something similar also. They'll quote everything to you to tell you how it cannot happen at all. And they'll try to discourage you, or they'll try to tell that this is what a problem, so that's why we are not taking it up. So how are you guys gonna overcome it and just push your proposal to them?
Yeah. So it is about the. Okay, I'll tell. Okay. So it is about the initial structure and the image and the connection that we start off with that we get with the administration is the key, I would say, because that is when they know if the council is hardworking and will be able to pull off proposals as in whatever they tell. So whenever we give a word, we should be able to do that. Trust not only students but admin also should have on us. Only then that is the first thing for us to push proposals in. Obviously, they will be quoting examples of the previous council, as you say, about multiple things that not happened. But we can also talk about the multiple initiatives that have happened in the previous councils and cite examples about it, and say that you can trust us. And with the initial image being built properly, and we being responsive and communicating properly to the admin as well, I think with these two key points, we can push them and get our proposals done.
So it is understandable from the admin perspective that they want to play it safe and make sure that there's no loopholes of any proposal that they're going to take place. It's the responsibility of the student council should also do the same to check for any flaws in the proposal they're going to put forth. So it's obvious that the council, they're going to go for a request to the admin. They have considered all possibilities, and they have proper communication. They would know that what has happened wrong before. So through proper preparation of any flaws or any any gaps in the issue, and if you can address them beforehand, And if you can effectively communicate to the admin that yes, this idea was this so-and-so initiative was in place before, but this is how it can be made better. So for example, if we take an example of transport, initially we did have battery cars, but we did purchase the 5 battery cars. But what happened was, for only 4 of them are now working and only 1 of them stay in place, and it cost a lot of money, say around 20 lakhs to even make them to repair them. So this is a shortcoming. So how we address it, we bought about e-vehicles that are much cheaper, and to prevent the cost factor, we outsourced it. So basically, we can also learn from the previous council mistake and fix our loopholes and better come up with a better initiative. It's I understand that admin wants to make a stay safe, and we can to satisfy the admin, we can come with a better and a more feasible solution, and that will help. In the end, it will help both the student community, also the admin.
Okay, cool. Next one, like as Pragya mentioned something like cyberbullying in the start, you guys will like what you've been experiencing till now in fests and clubs is problems which come normally, but here what you see is something which we generally don't face at your age, or something which you won't face in your college life generally. Like it's a very rare basis, and sometimes you might have to face them throughout the year or in multiple occasions wherein it's out of our maturity and it's out of what we have seen till now. But whereas these deans, conveners, or whoever is in the post, have seen them throughout their teaching career, and they'll make you a lot of suggestions in that, and you will be having an idea of what the thing can be. Basically, the problems which you encounter or the problems which students are in, that are on some other things, some things into cyberbullying. How do you guys are gonna act on it? Like you guys want to go by your instincts, or you guys want to follow what deeds are telling because they know things better, or what is your approach basically in these sort of things?
As you mentioned that the administration has been in place for so many years, and they would have seen so many initiatives that have come up, and why it failed or how it happened. So it is absolutely essential that we listen to the admin. But at the same time, when we apply for the position of a student council president, we go through a huge learning curve. As I already mentioned, the moment when I applied for the post of president and 3 months of campaign that I followed, the amount of information I learned was huge. So probably when I immediately step inside the council, I'll be required a lot of guidance, assistance. Probably whoever is going to go to the next council, the ex council should be provide active information to them, guide them properly, and they can also take care of the admin initiatives. But as the time progresses, they will also get comfortable with the happenings of the of what's going on in the council, and they can put forward their own initiatives and go with their own instincts. Because that's why the councils change every year, because the approach and the instincts of students change every year, and that's why we see new initiatives taking place. The admin stays the same over the years, and they are here to keep a check on the initiatives that are happening in the student environment. So if we don't follow our instincts, we won't see new initiatives coming up. And it is true that we may be very new and inexperienced, but I genuinely believe that the learning opportunity in the council is immense. Because when I went through previous episodes of SoapBox on YouTube, there was mentions of student council president coordinating with the current police inspector to ensure that and the district collector to ensure the buses stop in NIT Trichy. So I was generally surprised to be that a council member ensured that buses from cities stop in a bus stop, or we can work into establish banks and all that. So it's basically a learning curve, and depending on the approach you take and the advice you follow, you can follow your own instincts and implement different initiatives in campus. As a time progresses and as knowledge, that is something you have to follow.
Yeah. So I think my take on this will be, we should obviously consider the suggestions from the deans and the experienced faculty. But also one more thing that we should consider is they are a generation, they are aged people and a generation behind, and there are certain problems that which we need to act upon in a different way. They might have a different perspective. So we should consider all of their suggestions and finally take a decision that is wholly councils, along with support of the previous council members, etc. Depending on the scenario. So it cannot always be said that whatever the deans and directors, they are saying, it should be directly incorporated. So the decision should be solely the councils by getting in suggestions from all sides.
Okay.
One thing I think we would like to suggest is what Venkat said, that yes, there's a generation gap. and you need to put forward your point in a way that they understand. Also, always follow that you need to do the right thing. So in case they are not understanding, you have to push it in the way that they understand how it is right thing for you or for our batch or for this generation.
Okay, next one, like generally, if if someone shouts at you, you can shout back at them and just leave the spot, or you can just end the argument there. But there are people who sit there, always smile at you, tell whatever you're telling is correct, it has logic, like it's what you're telling is basically true, but still they don't accept your proposal. They'll say, yeah, Paul, like whatever you're telling is correct only. Yeah, whatever you're telling is logic. I accept that, but this can't be done. Like they just give you some plain answers. They never shout on you. They'll be very calm. They'll be laughing, wherein you can't shout back on them or you can't be harsh on them. Then in that sort of situations, how you will go through, like how you will put your points or how you will just get out of it.
Yeah, so it is, I think it is about handling people and understanding them. So when somebody says that is calm and composed and still rejecting our logical proposals without reasons, so there should be some other reason because of which he's doing it. So without any reason, that person is not going to reject any proposal or any idea that we are going to put forth. So we with continuous talk, in continuous talk, we have to find out what that reason is, or what is it making him to hinder the proposal or stop the proposal. So that is the key, I think, to convince them, to find out what that is and talk to them about it and resolve or sort that issue first of all, and then go ahead with the proposals. Yeah, that's about it. Mike is in mute, da. Come on.
Sorry, thanks, Da. So one thing that I'd like to highlight, apart from what was mentioned, is one more important quality would be, as I already mentioned, is perseverance. Because you, as the person on the other side of the chair is experienced and is giving us clear, calm propositions, listening to us clear in a calm way, but still rejecting the proposal, that requires us perceive on our initiatives and approach him again and again and again. That's the only way we can get out any information from them on regarding and why he's trying to reject it also. And one more thing that I feel maybe should be considered, kept in mind, is because we are the responsibility of a student president. I know has been earned one, that is through an election and all that. Through an election, and we do have a sort of people's mandate. So we should keep that in mind when you go approach the admin. I know basically have a little bit of authority, or just not authority, a powerful stance in keeping in mind that we do have the student mandate of the entire campus, and when we approach a particular issue, and it is there for the student, it is there for the students. So keep that in mind, we can make a more powerful arguments or powerful demands to the admin. But at the end of the day, as I already mentioned, it's perseverance that's going to count.
So actually, the thing is, they remain calm because it's not that they understand your logic also. It's just they don't want to make a scene there, or they just don't want to make things dirty. That's the main underlying fact. It's not that they just go. So, Mari, you just think of it. So one thing. And next question is, we just have 2 or 3 more questions, da. So right now, just a minute. So right now, they always say that humbleness wins hearts of a lot of people. But a lot of times, you guys might have put a lot of effort in getting something done or anything, and you just face criticism a lot of times, or you just face negative feedback every time. And sometimes that where the fault lies, or sometimes that a fault lies with students, or sometimes there's a where it exactly goes, and it's actually something wherein you can go tell back to the students that this is what you're doing wrong, or this is where you're thinking this is, but this is what it's going there on the Mari. You can give them something like a fitting reply or so. But what do you think? Council should do it, or it should just take that, okay, it's part and parcel of what council is, and just be like that?
Yeah, so I feel like criticisms and appreciation are part of any work that you do. So I can take an example of the campaign that I've been doing. So if you can see the Instagram page that I have, it is always open to comments and for people to talk about and discuss and tell any comments that they want to. And there have been criticisms as well as appreciations in the comments. And that I just have understood that this is one learning that I learned from here, that we should accept it as it is and move on. Because at the end of the day, our main goal is to incorporate any constructive criticism that is there into our proposals or into our ideas, and take in the appreciations and move ahead. So that is what I believe we should be doing.
So answering the question.
Someone keep it short. Keep it short. And Chris.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just adding on to just some more points that he's mentioned, I just want to reiterate the fact that typically the priorities, the priority of the initiatives that we want to keep in mind. Just saying a general example, like maybe initially in the start of the council, when you have a lot of plans, a lot of initiatives that require that you want to implement and require a lot of coordination, like you should take criticism in the flow and try to work on it or approach them better. But if it's a situation that affects a lot of, depending on the gravity of the situation and how much students is going to affect, and the coordination or the time when it's happening, the issue should be raised in such a manner that we bring notice to the admin. So it's because initially, if you start, taking, issues, or you start fighting with getting quarreling with the admin, or if you don't take it in the flow, the entire year might be, not work properly, because you not be able to, implement all the initiatives, because the rupture will always be there. But as the time progresses, when the coordination, improves, and you get to understand the, improve your relationship with the admin, then you can approach in a more suitable manner. Maybe as you get more comfortable with them, you can place forth your demands. So as your time progresses, the approach you take will shift. So initially it might be all right to take criticism with the flow, and later, as depending on how the gravity of the situation, or how important it is that this particular initiative is put in place, we have to raise our our voice. I mean, it's not something new. It has already happened with the recent issue in mind, where it was difficult to put forth our concerns to the admin. So the present council did you guys did resort to effective methods that bring about highlight the issues to the admin, like through petitions, etc. So depending on the timeline when it happens and the gravity of the situation, you can proceed with your approach. Because if you had done this earlier in your council, then the rupture would have remained through the entire year, and you would not be able to implement any of your initiatives that you have planned. So depending on the timing and the gravity of the situation, you should decide whether to take the criticism in the flow, or retort to it.
Okay, so last second question, like, you think council should be aggressive or defensive in their proposals whenever they approach admin? Which is the best one, being aggressive or the otherwise?
I believe it's like it should be very personal, or depending on whom you're going to deal with. One initial approach that I usually used to take, being it's a small post as a class representative, is being aggressive at first. If you put forth unexpected demand to the admin, that's also exorbitant. That there's no way it's going to take place. If you start with the aggressive approach at first, only then if on subsequent meetings you can negotiate to something that you actually had in mind in the first place, and can be implemented. Because if you go with a proposal, as you already said, the admin is going to listen to it carefully and then still going to reject it. So I feel we should start off with something that we know is a little exaggerated, but it's a little more aggressive. So even if they turn down, we can take it in the initially we can take it to the flow and go back and come with a reworked proposal. And as you said, they might keep on rejecting us, and we constantly rework it. And finally, we'll come back to the stance that we originally wanted to implement in the first place, and that can be taken. That will actually be put into action. This is something that I had personally done when I was in a small portion as a student, as a class representative. So I usually believe that this approach can work, but it depends on the person you're dealing with. Some people might not prefer to deal with the first go itself. Some might, as you said, might deal it in a lethargic or in the manner that they are comfortable with. So depending on that, this particular approach can be taken off. So that is the.
Yeah. So I think, first of all, what we should do is we should understand what is the practicality of the person whom we are facing, what he thinks would be practical. So understanding that is what matters. And then, once you understand to what level you can push him, you have to take it in step by step. So every step should be steady, but a slow progress that you take in, and you get a proposal done. It should not be a leap or a jump like a very aggressive proposal. So I believe in a step-by-step approach.
Okay, cool. Okay, the last question. It's like, one thing is, just tell two good things about your opposite candidate, and also tell one quality that should be there for a president of a college, like just one quality that should be there for a president of a college, and two good points about your opponent, which you find is like very good about him.
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay,
if I
starting.
can,
Okay.
as I already mentioned, like the one thing that made me, deeply increase my learning. Okay, just like a little detail. Sorry, I know. Just make my learning curve, very detailed and extensive because of the competition that that I had with Venkat. So I really appreciate his competitiveness. That's one important quality that helped both of us learn. As you already mentioned, otherwise one of us, would have, this effectively competed and learned so much. So I really like his competitiveness. And so second thing I appreciate this is punctuality. This is something that I often observe, that is whenever he launches something, some post, it's always on time. It's at 7:45. It's on 7:45. It's a small observation that I made, and I really like that he's very punctual and is very competitive. And one trait that I believe should be if you're a council member is because the council is going to be the face of the admin, or is going to be the direct go-to person for any student members. I believe, as I already mentioned, approachability should be in intent quality for any student council member, especially considering the post that it's going to be the president. He should be very approachable for the student committee, because he's going to represent student committee in the first place. The admin, it might differ, but considering that he's going to be the face for the council for the entire student committee, he should be very approachable. I think that's an intent quality of a council member.
Yeah, so my answer would be, first thing is Kamlesh is a very jovial person who he can get friends with anybody in like very short time. That is one good thing. Whoever I ask is a friend of Kamlesh. Like he's a very jovial person. That is one thing. And one more thing is his sportiveness. We had a lot of releases daily. So over the past few days, in the last 10 days, we had a lot of releases daily. And he in case there are clashes, he'll call up, or we'll discuss about the releases and when we have to post and when we'll fix it up. Yeah. So that is one thing that one more thing that I admire about him. And regarding the council, it is this year. It will be a very crucial year for the council, because we've got to overcome this COVID-19 situation, and all of the council members should have to be very tirelessly working throughout the year, without any slack at any point of time, communicating all the students' concerns to the admin, and putting in their complete efforts. I mean, every year it will be the same, but this year it has to be a tad bit extra, because we have to come out of this COVID situation safely as an institute. So that I think will be one of the main qualities of a student council member.
Okay, so thanks guys. Sorry for keeping it very long. We just want you guys to know how it's gonna be here, what we have experienced, and a lot of people are seeing it, so they'll also have an idea of how it's gonna be if there's a council that's working from the next year, so that you guys will have a better perception. And yeah, Pragya,
one
over to you.
one question. So yeah, currently we are not in the situation where students. This is a question that is asked every year, and every year the reply we hear, the answer we hear is very different. So this year we are not in the situation where students will be caught with illegal stuff. But once when we get back to campus, we have to understand that the students have been living in their houses in the pandemic, and when they return back to campus, the response to the situations that they have been facing in their house when they get back to campus can lead to overusage of such stuff. And if a friend of yours, or if a batchmate of yours, or a junior of yours is caught in this situation, what will be your take on that?
Yeah. So first of all, it should be communicated to their parents. I believe the person's parents are the best counselor, or the best remedy that you can provide for the student. So you'll have to talk to the parents of the student, and make them aware of whatever is happening, and then you can probably ask the parents, stay with the student for a while, until he gets normal, or he's proper. And also we can have rehabilitation centers in the college where we can help students like this? Your mic is in mute again, Da.
Yeah. So another approach that should also be considered along with what Venkat said is, if a student is indulging in any of these, harmful substances, then there might be any fundamental issue that should be addressed first. So yeah, we should inform the parents, and before taking any curbing action on that may affect his life, for forever or in the long term, we should try to address the issue at first. Providing proper counseling. At present, there's already it's already mandated that if a student is found in possession of any of the such activities, he has to undergo some rigid counseling for these days, or he should not stay in the hostel as present. So I believe he should focus more on addressing the issue rather than punishing the person in question. But that is true. If there's continual abuse or so on, then we can take corresponding action. But I feel we should focus more on addressing the fundamental issue and providing rehabilitation, and make sure that it doesn't disconnect from the activities that are going on in college, because just because he's being under undue influence. Because the major reason for such an undue influence, because he's not being connected enough, or there is such flawed at place. So it's not directly outcasting him, or banning him from college. You should take up proactive steps to correct the issue rather than punishing him. That's something that I feel.
I think we invited task force can take it.
So we have a few questions from the students. So first question is for both of you. Feasibility of online classes for the upcoming semester. Most of the discussion on all the forums have been about online exams for the current semester. It is important to plan how online classes happen as well. Can you share your views?
Yeah. So first of all, can look at my manifesto. Our first academic section deals with streamlining online classes. So what we have provided is basically a set of standard structures that can to ensure that online classes happen effectively and can be useful to as many students as possible. So first thing that can be done is, once the platform for conducting the online classes is decided, say it can be anything like Webex or Teams, the lecture should be recorded. So any student who's not able to view at that particular time can view it in one later as convenience. Some photos like the Teams by default have this feature. Then moving on to the next, the faculty should share corresponding materials that he has used to conduct the classes. So for example, either it will be the PPT or the notes that he has written to take the classes, that should be shared to the students. So even if there's any issues for them looking the class online, they can still hit up on the notes, and make sense of what is going on. For addressing the worst case issue where he cannot you cannot have enough data to stream online classes at present. What we can do is external links should also be shared with corresponding faculty, that can take them to alternate books or some have personalized learning on his own, in case he's not able to attend the online classes also. So having such structured alternate opportunities for online academics, so you can ensure that it targets maximize the outcome from online learning.
Yeah. So first of all, I think a rigid survey has to be conducted before the start of next semester to find out how many students have the facilities to attend the online semester and how many students do not. Because even though the number might be very minimal, you cannot just say it without a survey. So we need to find out ways for which these students who do not have access to facilities should be provided access. Then on a parallel side, the classes that are being conducted should be recorded properly, and there should be a proper repository for the all online classes. So we can use MS Stream as a possibility, because when we conduct classes in MS Team and record it, it directly gets saved in MS Stream. We can organize it and save it as a possibility. Every study material and every recording of the class should reach every student out there, and we should be having constant checks using the CRs if the students are able to attend online classes or not. And regarding online exams, students should be given a fair opportunity to choose exams, and both the online and offline modes should be made very transparent from the administration, which the council should facilitate in the next year. You can also check out the detailed proposal in my Instagram page. So that's about online semester.
Now this question is for Venkat. This is regarding the RFID cards.
Yeah.
Isn't it risky to make
Yeah, sure.
all the money transaction depend on the RFID cards? There are history of losing food cards during fest or even the mess food cards. Someone else may be able to use it easily. What is your plan to avoid misuse, and what system to allow students retain lost cards?
Yeah. So the whole concept of this was to bring in the mess and fest balances into play when we are in college. So we are getting it back after 4 years. So when we get this mess and fest balances to use in campus, we can use, we can collaborate with external organizations, or we have projects that are being developed. So we can have a campus wallet, so which can, these mess and fest balances can be put in the campus wallet, and these can be used. And regarding the RFID cards being lost, if in case any RFID card is lost, you can immediately deactivate it or block it from the registered mobile number, right? So that is always a possibility. As soon as you feel like you've lost the card, you can immediately call up the, if it's a third party organization or the project who is doing. So you can inform them and make sure that the RFID card is blocked, so that anybody else does not use it. Also, there will be features like it will not just be like tap and then pay. You might have to have a OTP that is coming to your mobile or something. So an additional authentication that will be used for payment, similar to UPI IDs. Yeah.
The last question is for Kamlesh. This is regarding the carbon footprint and the budget usage. How are you measuring the present carbon footprint in the college? How exactly will the fund become self-sufficient without an initial lump sum investment? If the council budget is used, how will you ensure that none of the other needs are compromised?
Okay, so first, coming to the first question, addressing the first lump sum amount first. I mentioned the sustainable cycle, green cycle, that is a green cycle fund that is set up in place. Initially, the fund, say even for solar panels, has been coming up from the SECI or the initial admin fund. So when we get a fund from external source at the beginning, we can use that when you put up an energy saving scheme or a resource in place, that can be generate a lot of savings over the years. Okay, so for example, considering something as small as replacing all the bulbs or tube lights in Orion. Okay, approximately the total charge is the rate is around 300 per bulb. So if you go approximately the entire cost, it can come around easily to 1 crores. So that there can be huge amount initially that has to be spent. So what will happen is over the years, the savings that you generate from this issue, if can far exceed the initial cost, and that can the farmer a cyclable fund. So that is what happening in solar panel issue also, because those funds are coming from the alumni specifically for sustainable issues. The savings, I feel, should be used for sustaining further sustaining more issues in place, rather than using it for other important issues that can arise because for each specific issues the specific funds have been allocated to deal with that. To promote sustainable practices and provide some incentive to have such practices in place. If you have a recyclable green fund, because it's revenue generating, people will actively make sure that it is it's put up in place. So that is one way you can reduce carbon footprint. To coming to the question how we can accurately measure carbon footprint. See, at present, if you take a small issue like considering the logistics of your converting the mess food into energy in the biogas fuel, clubs like 180 DC or who have actually participated in providing us with the logistic service and have a detailed case study on the schemes that can be put up in place. So if we can implement integrate the club activities in such proposals, so that will be the other incentive of having such sustainable practices. So the clubs can actively coordinate and work on these issues, so that will be beneficial for them also. At the same time, for the college also, will be getting recyclable funds, so they can kind of analyzing the blueprint that is being generated and all that, and have and they can recommend an efficient solution with the initial fund that can be procured to have solution put up in place. These can be repaid back, and the excess savings can be further pulled into these initiatives to just sustain a long-term generating green fund. I hope that answers your question.
This is it for the student questions. Next, we'll move on to the candidate questions. Due to time restrictions, we would like to limit one question per candidate. You can ask each other.
Yeah, can we have 3 questions, please? Snehit is saying.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
ask
Kamlesh,
me
should I
questions,
start?
please.
Should I start? Should I start? Or
Keep the answers short.
yeah, Kamlesh, should I start or?
Yeah, you can go ahead, Venkat.
Yeah. So my first question will be regarding the originality of your ideas, da. So first thing, you had a point mentioned about portal for alumni interest groups, right? So I would like to say that technical council proposed this idea to NITSAC for an portal for students and the alumni. Yeah, and NITSAC has taken it to the deans, and it is waiting for approval. I mean, it is waiting for a presentation from the technical council to the associate dean alumni relations, Nisha ma'am. So the idea is already in process, and the deans are considering it. So where is the originality of your idea here?
Yeah. So thank you, Venkat, for providing an opportunity to clarify on this. If you read the point carefully, what I'm trying to focus on is the special interest groups. So at present, if you go to the NIT, in that site also, you have a portal where at present alumni can sign up as mentors and such. But what I mean by special interest groups is basically an online interaction between students and alumni and other alumni over on online platforms. See, these interest groups can be varied. It's not just not a portal or forum for Q&As. These are varied interest groups. See, something can be robotics, something can be very specific like entrepreneurship, startup, and it can be even something general or fun like anime or something. It's just I have different interest groups, and how the interest groups basically function is, even if you're an alumni and you're stuck at some point in your career and you like to listen to take some advice, you can post it in a specific interest group saying how do I go about it. Suppose you're in the entrepreneur field and you're deciding whether to start a new business or so, you can put up in the interest groups, and some corresponding seniors can answer the question, or this can promote active collaboration with other alumni. Say they want to they have an idea in place and they want to check the feasibility and collaborate with other interns who are interested. This can also be put up in place. And for the clubs also, such an active forum can help them clarify doubts with other alumni, where the privacy issue also is addressed. Because one thing that when I specifically went and spoke to Raman sir, the dean for institute development and alumni relationships, he mentioned that the major drawback of providing alumni mentors to clubs or directly getting students in touch with alumni is the contact. Because we can't even though the alumni is very willing to help the students, we can't expect them to take queries from all the students by when they give the numbers public or online. So when you have such interest groups, not portals, interest groups where the details won't be revealed, you can just have active interaction present. Once you log in, this issue can also be addressed. So that is something that I like to present. Just to clarify things, it's not exactly a portal. So that's how it's different from the portal.
Yeah. So basically, an improvement to the portal. Yeah. So you could have mentioned that. Yeah.
Is what you mentioned. So if you go to check the website, because the initiative or the detailed specifics of the plan that you proposed is not out in public. But if you go to the site that is mentioned present, it is just a feature for alumni to sign up as mentors, and it's not exactly complete. It has only CS features, like especially computer topics that alumni can choose to mentor. We're not talking about mentorship in general. It's just interest groups. You have different interest groups, not just one portal. You have different interest groups where you don't give out specifications, and you actively collaborate and at your own convenience. And it cannot be it's not necessarily it has to be serious. It can be varied and covered. That is how interest group is different. And to propose this to have these interest groups interest groups in place, that's why I just mentioned student union portal, because this was already proposed 4-5 years ago by Anu. So what is the student union building upon the student union portal? So if you start actually collecting students what modification I want to provide to the student portal is, you start actually collecting details from the student nowadays, right from the college life. This is just addressing miscellaneous queries of students. We can have a profile of all the college students who has passed out from alumni, from NIT. I'm not saying the profile like the alumni profile of the database as such. It's just what the student has done in the college life. For example, if there's a first year in place and he'd like to consider what career options he could pursue, say he's interested in say a particular field, like he wants to do a startup, he can look up at his look up on seniors who have graduates from his department who have taken different courses, and you can just look at the profiles of what they've done in the college, what clubs they have joined, what teams they have joined. So particularly because we say consider example of you and I, both of us are interested in we're applying in council, so we have actually looked upon profiles on our own, say of ex-council presidents like Daksh, etc. We have done it on our own. So if you have a student oriented portal in place, you can do that through the portal, and you can have different features in place. So that is what I mentioned, extending it to a student oriented portal. The portal is different from the interest groups. The interest groups in place to facilitate discussion, and the portal is to it's just a grievance, just a knowledge sharing session of what can happen, what you can learn from the seniors in place. It's not database of alumni. That's something I want to clarify.
Yeah, thank you.
So can I ask you a question?
I have a follow-up question.
Okay.
So regarding the pre-incubator that you mentioned, right?
Yeah.
So may I know what is the difference between the pre-incubator that you mentioned and SEDI?
Yeah, so that is again, sorry, the major difference between a pre-incubator and SEDI in places. See, the pre-incubator. Let me just brief about it in 2 minutes. Is a facilitator where you evaluate the ideas. You make sure that it's market implementable, whether it's feasible and all that. And once it is done, you have different support system in place, like provide mentorships. Have pre-seed funding and etc. So the where it differs from SEDI is two instances. Okay, first, SEDI predominantly focuses on, as I told you, IT and CS fields, and especially in fields like social, cloud, and AI and machine learning fields. That is a scam in general. So they usually address take up fund projects in these domains. Say suppose you have an idea along the lines of like Amazon or Swiggy, they don't provide it. It's very rigid. In fact, classmates from batchmates from my department, we did try to approach SEDI with their own idea, but it was not in alliance with the scam projects that they're looking very actively to fund. And if you look at the activities of SEDI also, 2 years till last year ago, they were very actively funding 4th year, final year projects. And the best project they used to get prize money. Even that was restricted to mostly circuitry branches. So that is why it differs from SEDI. And one more thing I'd like to highlight about the startup pre-incubator cell, the pre-incubator cell is, see, it is basically integration of all the services in campus. If you're part of SEDI, you can use of campus spaces. You can use the SEDI library conference, to work on initiatives. But through this startup pre-incubator, you can also make use of college club services. For example, you're working on a startup and you require web services. Okay, so you can through approach to TC and you can get a web dev to work on your application. Okay, that's one of the features that they can have in the startup incubator. And also, as you already mentioned, one of long-term initiative, incentives for that can be put up in places. You can make it a true creative elective once your project start passes 2 levels of funding. You can apply through under the mentorship of your the 3 senior faculty who's you mentor. You can convert it into a 2 credit course later, which is a long-term initiative to provide incentives for students to engage more and more in entrepreneurship. So that's how it differs from SEDI. SEDI is 2 things. Is mainly focused on the IT and the CS projects, and number 2, it is the services you get through provide are not exactly as varied as you get through a startup pre-incubator. And SEDI is very difficult to contact alumni support to SEDI. So these are just the things that I like highlight. So if that's all,
Thank you, Kamlesh.
Yeah,
The thing is, ESL is already contacting the technical clubs to set up a pre-incubator, as you have been telling. So my question is on the originality of the ideas. So ESL has been doing this, and also the portal for interest groups have already been proposed by the technical council. So these are all ideas or initiatives that the other clubs have already taken, which you've put in the manifesto, right? So I just wanted to question the originality of your ideas. So once it's already been initiated, what is the point of putting it in the manifesto? Because it is going to be your promise, your own promise, right?
So
yeah, that's my question.
Because by focusing mainly on the feature, I've just provided a detailed explanation doc on how each and every idea that you mentioned is exactly different from the proposal in place. We're coming to the startup pre-incubator provided by ESL. It was the ESL had it in the discussion, and as I already mentioned, the idea that we are proposing, is startup pre-incubator is not a new initiative. A pre-incubator cell, when it comes from the club, there are some restrictions that cannot be, availed if it's part of a club. And the initiative that you're saying coming from ESL, you cannot assume genuinity to such an idea through a particular club, because it's a very specific general idea. Anyone can come up with a startup pre-incubator cell. You can, in fact, all the initiatives that you have mentioned have been implemented in different student councils across different institutions. So if you genuinely question ingenuity of your idea, all these ideas are already established in different institutions. So if you're going to target directly on the ingenuity of idea, and that's the restriction in place, because ideas can be unique and they're already in place. And if to detail you, as I already mentioned, how it's different from the existing startup cell or what ESL is going to propose. So the details of what ESL is going to propose is exactly not out in the open. But for any club, we can actively collaborate with ESL. In fact, ESL can take responsibility for taking the pre-incubator cell functioning in campus. But because it's a club, a club orientation, there are certain features that they cannot tap into by being an institutional body or pre-incubator that I have proposed. So actively getting senior mentors, or if you want to convert your idea into a 2 credit course, you cannot do it easily if you're just a club. If you have an institute backing, or if you have an institutional body in place, that can be addressed. So generally of the ideas that you mentioned, you are saying that it's a different stage of implementation, but the same logic can be applied to all the ideas that you might put forward. In fact, are in place in different institutions across India. Say in the RFID card was there in many IITs, but there has not been, it's currently discarded. So if you talk about ingenuity and originality of the idea, it depends on the context you're speaking and the source you're looking at. So any idea that you propose, it is possible, and it is actually true that it is existing in different campus locations across India. And so you cannot claim, in fact, if that's the argument, you cannot claim originality for any idea that any person can produce. So that is something I want to clarify.
Sure.
And the feature how it is different has been clearly mentioned.
Sure,
can I ask?
Yeah, let me just complete this. You can obviously analyze the other colleges and then propose ideas. So as you say, your idea is different from what you have proposed is different from what ESL has proposed. So if you become the student president next year, would you support what ESL is doing, or would you carry out the initiative that you have put forth in the manifesto?
The one thing I want to make clear is, see, the point of this initiative is to promote startups and provide an easy way for students to work actively on the ideas with as much support and incentive and as less restriction as possible. It doesn't matter if it's going to be carried under which banner or which. In fact, ESL is going to actually take up on it. It's very comfortable that ESL is taking up such an initiative. The role of the council is to call it taking up. So it's not taken up. The proposal that you mentioned has been recommended. It's not out in the public. It's not been submitted to the domain because you are from the ESL, you have the privilege of knowing about the idea before. It's good that ESL has come up with the initiative. That doesn't mean that the idea is new or it's going to be unique. In fact, the details of the idea has not been specified before. So if the idea was out in the open, specified, I know a poster had come up saying, okay, this is what is going to establish in place and how it is going to unique, then maybe you can call upon the how my idea is a copy of that idea. But as you're saying, this is in discussion. It's in place. It's nice that ESL wants to do it. If they're going to implement it, as a council member, if I'm going to elect it, I'll honestly totally back the ESL initiatives, because our target is to promote startups and with as much restrictions and incentives as possible. And as you could clearly mention, we want to integrate as many club services and as possible. And ESL is the heart of any startup initiative that's going to take place in campus. So it's always not possible to have a startup implement without ESL as a priority. So you claiming that the initiative idea is, I think, can be sort of by for providing further explanation, and I hope this clears things up.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Kamlesh. So hope you take up ESL's initiative if you become the president. Thank you. Yeah. Can I have a question?
So this is regarding the NIT pay. So can I just know how NIT pay can be more beneficial to users on campus? Also, considering that all shops at present already accept digital payments, and even the all the new initiatives that have been rolled in place already accept digital payments. And the coming to the excess mess fund refund fee that you're talking about, there's a provision that it can be used for any emergency funds, that anything wrong that can happen. Anything wrong that can happen. So if you're going to actively use up all the mess funds, the emergency funds are being you're putting into risk of the emergency fund. So I just want to know how NIT pay can be more beneficial, considering that online payments is already in place for all the services in campus.
Yeah, I'll answer that. You might have to check up with the facts. The present council has made a provision where the mess and fest balances can be deducted from the fees when they want to pay it. I mean, every semester's fees, whenever they are wanting to pay it, the previous semester's mess and fest balance, there is a option for it to be deducted. Okay, so that is what we have extrapolated to make it to add it to the wallet campus wallet that we have, and use it inside campus, right? So that can be used inside the campus using this campus wallet. This money cannot be used through UPI IDs because it is it's stuck in the institute, right? So you have to use it through some way. So you have to use it through the campus wallet. And using it through a campus wallet, there are a lot of third-party organizations, and even in the Transnet, there has been a project that has been done. We can incorporate anything that is feasible.
Yeah, but I just want to know what is the exact advantage of having an e-payment. I understand that you want to tap into the funds, but it's not like the admin is not going to give back, take the funds away from you. They're going to give back when you graduate. And so when you come to you can say that admin is using up the interest rate. Actually, if you check up on the savings account that the admin is using, the interest rate is actually varied. The exact details, it's better that you look up on yourself, because the figures are not exactly known to me. So what is the exact the incentive for having the NIT pay? Because you're going to get back the money anyways, and Google the e-payments are very much convenient, easier, and widely acceptable. So what are the exact what exactly are you trying to tackle with this NIT pay?
Yeah, so rather than having it with getting it back after 4 years, just using it in the present time is our own proposal, right? So this is a new initiative that we want to carry forward to pull out the campus money that is stuck in there for 4 years, right? So we can use it whenever we are in campus very easily. So that is the whole point.
But okay, the logistics and the cost. Okay, that's a good initiative. Okay, so one more point that I'd like to question highlight is some of the points that you mentioned are it's an existing question that are already existing in place. Like when you have the webmail for clubs already in place, and an action plan for retrieving things from college, which can be extended to other batches, but depending on the situation. What is your suggestion in all these points? Like I just want to know how we can make this different.
Can you come again with the question, please?
Yeah, so some of the ideas that the specific points in the manifesto you mentioned are already in place. So when we have the webmail for clubs already in place and an action plan for retrieving things from college, which can be extended for other batches as well. At present, the fourth years can retrieve the things from college. So I just want to know how these initiatives that you proposed are going to be different. I understand that you have put some thought and make it different. So I just want to know what exactly is different.
Yeah, sure. So the first thing is not all clubs right now have the webmail accounts. So we have to avail the webmail accounts from CSG. We can go request them and they will give it and we will facilitate. This is what I'm trying to say. And first of all, these are all not totally new proposals that I'm putting forth, but the responsibility agenda which I'll be fulfilling in the next year if I'm elected. So that is first thing about the webmails. And next thing about retrieval of items. So there should obviously be some time when the fourth years come down to a college and take their own all their belongings and then they clear of the college. So after that happens, which I see as a mark after which people can enter college. The rest students can be split into batches are segregated and they can come down to college and take whatever materials they want, because the right now process that exists, courier and parceling, is quite cumbersome and difficult, because you have to send the keys through courier and you have to have a contact there who will take the materials and send it back. So if there is a possibility after things eases for the students to come in and then just take their stuff and go back, so that the council should make that effective and ease it out. So the council should be there to support is what I'm trying to say there.
Oh, so this initiative is going to be put up in place when the things get better and students can come back and retrieve things on their own. So you're going to say this initiative is for that situation. It's like not for the immediate where students want to retrieve the things. Like you're talking about if things get better, the students can come back and take the things. Is what you trying to say?
I hope the fourth years are going to come down soon to the college in some time to get their things out, because all their things have to be vacated soon. So as soon as that happens, if that happens, we can continue with this. Is the idea.
Yeah, so look, what is the system they're going to put in place? Like, if the situation is better, the students are going to come anyways. So like, what is the you propose that you're going to have a special action plan for retrieving things from college. So if the situation is better and students are going to come back on their own to take up things, I just want to know like what is the plan behind this? Like, if things are better and the situation is better, then students can come on their own and take the things. I just want to know like what you have in mind by saying
Yeah,
exactly this one.
So you asked the same question. I'm replying again. So when seniors come down to take their stuff from college, it doesn't mean every student can come down to college. So there will be some intermediate time when the seniors can come down and take their stuff to college, and college would not have reopened yet. And if there are time exists that way, the council has to support the students to get all the things back or essential things for the other students to take. So to retrieve all the items. So that will happen.
Sorry, sir.
Yeah.
Sorry, continue.
Yeah. So the council should facilitate this and provide the other batches, give them slots in which they can come down and they can talk to the admin and then get the stuff back. The whole process will be facilitated by the council. So that is what I'm trying to say there. So that will be one of your main agenda. That will be one of your main agenda, even if you're getting elected as a president.
Okay. Thank you for you mean a staggered entry of students when the situation is better. And we can put protocols in place that, like I mentioned in the manifesto. Cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I have one more question. So this is regarding the first point that you've put up in your digitalization.
Venkat, we'll actually wind off the session.
Yeah,
It's
yeah. One
already
last question. One last question. It's done. One last question. It's done. Yeah, one last question. Yeah. So
So to get
the
a
first
question, I'll also like to ask one more question.
so that's a case like you. I think you can just have one more
Yeah, yeah.
session.
We'll take two questions, bro. I mean, I'll also take one question. Let Kamlesh also take one question. We'll just end it with that.
Please be crisp
Yeah.
with your answers. Just be very crisp with your answers.
Sure,
And no
sure, sure.
follow-ups.
Yeah. Okay. So my question is, in your first point in your digitalization manifesto, it exactly reads, you will provide remote access in collaboration with InfluBNet. My question is, did you not know that InfluBNet access already exists? If you know, why did you choose to put you will provide access rather than telling you will enhance the resources that is there, or you will provide more resources? Because InfluBNet resources already exist. So that is one question. And the second question is, I mean, the continuation is that there is a second point which says there needs to be a portal for the academic documents, say for transcripts, etc., etc. Do you know the fact that institute is providing online documents through the National Academic Depository (NAD), through which you can also get the transcripts, degree certificates, grade cards, etc. What is the need of the portal? So these are two questions.
Okay, so thanks for giving an opportunity to clear up on point one. There's a lot of confusion on that. If you read up the explanation that we provide for the point in the website that we provided, the website that is there. So what we meant by providing access is, there's two things. According in InfluBNet, the access to certain resources such as the World Digital Library have been expired, and the other platforms such as no other platforms such as the Shodhan Ganga, which provide access to Indian thesis, have not been subscribed to. So it's a matter of understanding that what the word provides means. So what I meant to clarify was to provide more access to other platforms like Shodhan Ganga, etc. And number two, renewing the expired access that we have already availed. So it's understandable that the confusion might arise. That's why we have provided explanation in the website for you to look up. And one more thing that we want to mention is most of these expired, the subscription that we put in place are expired at December. So considering this is a long-term, initiative, you have to extend the agreement beyond December. That is the meaning of providing access to the entire semester. Because at present it's only till December, and you have to provide access to online resources. You have to extend it beyond more than the current time period, and you have to provide access to other platforms like Shodhan Ganga and etc. And if you go through all these online platforms, you realize that some of the standard books specified by AICT is not available in these platforms. For example, some of the math books that we require in the first year. So make use of to address these concerns, we'll have to purchase the master links of books and share it to the students. That's a solution that I also mentioned. So coming to the next question.
That's not my question.
Yeah.
That is not my question. So the question
interpretation.
No.
To understand my point clearly, you could have referred to the website. And it's understandable that the confusion that has arisen to the point. That's why I did release a word explaining what I exactly meant by the point. Probably didn't come by a notice, but I please encourage you to check out my website to get a proper explanation about it. So moving on to the next section of your question.
It did come by my notice. So the clarification message was released after 2 days, and your website was also updated after 2 days about the details of NDL, renewal, and subscription. So what I meant to ask is,
that usually okay. So thank you for finding out. Usually there's a platform for students to explain their points in the manifesto. Usually, let me explain. So usually when you put a point in the manifesto, you have a platform to explain your point in the manifesto. Usually it is released at the compilation at the last, and the SoapBox follows where you explain the manifesto. Because this time we approached different form of campaigning where we could not explain in person. So initially we did release a manifesto without any explanation. Then we realized that confusion can arise students who want to make it more complicated. That's why we follow up with every for following manifesto with an explanation doc. And the site was updated so the explanation doc could be provided. Initially, we follow the existing norm where just the points are provided and the explanation is provided in the SoapBox. Even for you have provided a manifesto, but the explanation for every point is not been provided. But if a SoapBox was in place, you would have had the opportunity to explain how you're going to go over the points. So dealing with the current restriction in mind, you have to understand that I didn't have a chance to go about and explain to students what had happened. So I had to write up a text, and the text came up the same night. I urge you to take notice of that. And coming back to your second question,
just a small thing.
What was the second question?
Second question. Follow-up question was again about the research. You had proposed a portal, when there was already a National Academic Depository through which,
So if you look at the NDA is not a new initiative. It's already been in place for so many years, and it's in collaboration with DigiLocker. You can get academic certificates, and your fourth year, once you pass out, you can get your it's used primarily for the alumni. At present, in the institute, there's no feature for students, current year students to avail documents like transcripts and etc. And one more advantage of having a portal is that this can be extended once the lockdown ends also, where you don't have to wait for permissions from HOD for if you have a portal. This can be a one-stop portal where you have different features for different documents that you want to procure. And once you send a mail, it'll be easier for the HOD, like along the lines of the OD portal, where the waiting time can be reduced, and you can look at the status of your document that we procured. So NDA and the solution that you have mentioned and the process that you have recommended on how to go about the process already exists, and it is there by the MHRD. And it's there on the collaboration with the MHRD for so many years, but it's not been extended on campus for all the documents. I think you can check upon that. It's not there for all the documents. So at such an junction, why I felt portal would be better is because this can be continued when we come back to campus to reduce waiting times for other documents such as bona fide institute documents that cannot be provided through NDA. This is one thing I want to mention. So if you can ask my next question.
Yeah, sure.
You provide an eloquent solution to use Gmail for NIT webmail. But ultimately CST decided to remove the solution almost instantly. So why was solution shared when CST themselves were not able to handle the constant demand related to the usage of these apps? Was CST aware that you would be announcing the solution? So basically, what happened because why it's not feasible for to link the webmail with your Gmail is because Gmail has a feature where you constantly ping the server every 5 seconds to refresh to check for mails. But the Okta server is not configured to handle 5,000 students pinging every 5 seconds for the mail. So that was the reason why webmail, the CSC did not integrate this as such feature. So I just want to know, when you were going about this feature, did you think about this problem that could in place that could have happened, and did you consult with the CSG for a subsequent solution, or was the CSG informed of such a initiative?
Yeah, sure. Let me answer your question. But before that, I'm just you had my whole manifesto to question, and you are pointing out a point that was really benefiting to all the students, and I'm just sad that you have a question on that. But let me very clearly explain. First thing is every CSG member is using this Gmail. Is using it through Gmail, and there is this person called Faisal in the CSG, where when I went and spoke to him in college, we had a long talk about how webmail user base can be developed, and that is when he suggested this method. And this is just that the students do not know, and he was already willing to tell this to all the students. And also there is a fact that during online exams the server overloads. So this feature was disabled during online exams for 4th years, right? So it was again enabled after 4th year exams got over. So similarly, it is not an instant disabling of the feature, but since the juniors online exams was happening, they had to disable it. And even we had released the story in Instagram talking about it. So again, after online exams get over, this Gmail to webmail transition will be there, and it is open for all the students.
Exactly. I just want to explain to you that the reason why, as you said, the Faisal sir in CSG is being using it is, if it's there for 5 or 6 students, and if there's if the webmail password in collaboration with Gmail is going to constantly ping the server, that is not going to be an issue. But if the existing server in place, if 5,000 students are going to ping the server, that will lead to a crash. As you mentioned, I understand that this initiative was meant to help students, but it would be better that if you had considered the CSG. So when you mentioned that students were writing the exam, suddenly the portal server crashed because it was overloaded. Exactly, because the server cannot handle so many requests in such a short time. So I understand the initiative or the intent behind such solution, but I feel it better if you are consulted with a CSG guy or someone from technical clubs before implementing this. The intent is nice, but a longer, feasible more solution would have been much better. So I just want to make it clear. It's not like after we graduate you can implement the solution. For this, you have to change the server or extend the bandwidth or have some load balancing feature having the server. Alright, then you can implement this feature for all the 5,000 students. That's just something.
Yeah, let me just tell you 2 facts.
It's very good.
2 facts.
Yeah, I just want
let me just talk about 2 facts. So first thing is I consulted with Faisal sir, and he has told us that students can use it, and it can all the students that do not know about it. It is good that students know about it. Students should be letting know about it. Next point is, when webmail server crashed during online exams, the Gmail thing was already still working if you know about it. So the logic of what you told is flawed. I do not know the technicalities, but I can assure you that Gmail worked when webmail
worked. The technicalities. I understand that it's a good initiative. The intent is a nice, proper intent. But I'm just saying, additional research can be done. If you ask some PhD head, they would have been able to explain
Hello?
that server is the
It has already been
security
asked.
thing.
It has
Then
already been
you have
asked.
to
I've
implement
recommended to the
extend the features of server. So I'm understanding. I understand your intention, but if you are concentrated on extending the the load balancing feature of the server, then you can
Sorry
decide
for
to
interrupting. We are from TaskForce.
Hey guys, so we are done with the session. It's almost like 2 hours for the session alone, and thanks for joining us. Thanks for putting out your views and everything. Thanks for asking our questions. It's been long, but we just want to make sure that every one of you get a good chance and you just have a place to tell your ideas. And we have seen a very tremendous support for each one of you, and we can see it in the comment section. That's very good. So, guys, tomorrow do come for voting, and you guys choose your right candidate. And also, we would like to thank Task Force for staying throughout the day. Like they've been doing it for the past 1.5 days without, like, I don't know if they've slept or not, but they've done wonderful work for the past 1.5, 2 days, and we really appreciated the work they've taken. And today, starting right from 3 p.m., they've been always on, like, online, and they've been taking care of things very good. So thanks a lot, Task Force, for doing this. Yeah. So thanks, guys. Thanks for the session.
And very good participation from the student community just because the candidates are so good. So good job on your manifesto and all the research.
Thank you. Yeah, all the best.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank
all
you,
the best,
Task Force.
Kamlesh, and thank you for all the audience also. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you for joining us. Stay tuned. Subscribe for Task Force for more content. So do come vote tomorrow for the elections. Make sure you choose the right candidate. This is Task Force. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Like, share, and subscribe.
Rahul, 1 second. Rahul, can you just take this platform to explain students exactly how the voting procedure works? Just to clarify.
Yeah. So,
Sure, that's
we'll tell that. So the thing is, tomorrow at 9 p.m. exactly, the portal will be open. Like, you guys can access it. Right now, we are able to access it. It's just for testing. It will be reset, and tomorrow at 9 p.m. exactly, the people can access it. All the the link has been shared in WhatsApp groups through a PDF. It's almost similar to online exams have been held. You'll be getting an OTP to your web mail, and you'll be using it to access, vote for the person. You have to again give a confirmation that he's your candidate, and you have to submit. By the end of the day, we'll have all the results of more number of votes or so. We'll again circulate the PDF once in the groups for all.
Yeah. So now you can try it. It will be reset tomorrow for the new data. And once the election is done, within 10 or 20 minutes, we will get to know the details of the results. Thanks.
So thank you.
Thank you, Kamlesh. Thank you, Agat.
Thank you.